Hello, friends. We're back again. Welcome to Fightful. It's July 20th, 2025, and it's time for your TNA Slammiversary post show. I am at Joel Pearl, thejoelpearl.com on Blue Sky. Yes, people use Blue Sky, myself included. It's a great place to be. Has some nice features on that app. Go ahead, join it if you'd like. I'm not going to try and stop you from doing it. Do what you want. Watch whatever you want. Do whatever you feel. That's the type of day it is. Do whatever you feel. Do whatever you want. We'll talk about it. Then we won't talk about it. And then we will talk. Anyway, sorry. It's too early to start this. Slammiversary post show. We told you the date. Told you who I am. Tessa, my normal co-host, who joins me on Thursday nights for the post-impact show. She was at the show tonight. She might pop in. She might not. We're going to find out. But with me, as always, for the pay-per-views, the host of the Weekender podcast, the co-host of the Spotlight over on Fightful Overbooked, the one, the only fantabulous, my brother in Yiddishkeit, yes. Steven Jensen. How you doing, pal?
Shalom, my friend. I'm happy to be here. We're going to get into the review very quickly because the main event, especially, I know you're going to have some serious feelings about. We'll obviously get there throughout the night. We'll break down all these matches. Got a lot of notes on a lot of these matches. I enjoyed the show for the most part. I don't think it made. It wasn't very balanced as far as how the companies looked coming out of it based on like the wins and the losses throughout the show, which we'll also discuss on this post show here. Shout out to Cresta. I always love seeing her here, but she couldn't make it. As you mentioned, she was at the show, which is badass. So I'm happy for Cresta that she got to enjoy that. Biggest live audience they've ever had. The crowd was hot all night. Like, it was probably a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward, whether Cresta can make it here or the next time we see her right here on Fightful. I do want to really hear her thoughts on being there live because I'm sure it was a really fun experience live based on a lot of the stuff that we saw in the crowd reactions we were getting and stuff all night. But I want to say what's up to the chat as well. I'll be keeping an eye on that all night. As always, if you have the super chats, we'll put them on the screen, read your questions, answer your questions, read your statements, all that good stuff. And let us know throughout the night too, like, were you confused by any of the booking decisions? Like, were you with us? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'm the kind of person where, like, I totally don't mind if you disagree with me about pro wrestling. So if you have takes that are not what me and Joel think, I welcome it. As long as it's a healthy, balanced discussion back and forth, I'm totally cool with it. I want to know what the crowd thinks about the show because, I'm here 4 times a year for the pay-per-views, and the wrestling world has their eyes on TNA on these kind of shows. Maybe the most talk I've seen on social media about TNA maybe ever tonight on X. So, like, I'm just saying, like, I want to know what people thought about the show, but I really want to know what you thought about this show, and especially the main event, Joel. But I'm good, and I hope everyone watching the show is good tonight as well.
Friends, go ahead, leave a thumbs up on the video nice and early. We appreciate that. Share the link. Tell your friends what we're up to tonight. It's a TNA event, and just like Steven Jensen said, a lot of eyes on TNA tonight, a lot of feelings on TNA tonight, a lot of expectations, some lofty, some a little more down to earth, and we're going to get into those and so much more. You can also go over to Humper Chats. Go to humperchats.com. You can leave any amount over there. Same thing. Get your question, your statement read on the air, just like your super chats here over on YouTube. And while you're at it, you can sub to the channel. If you haven't, go ahead, do that. What are you doing? It's free. That one's free. But if you're looking for the scoops and you're looking for all the exclusive news and you want Steven Jensen doing the Weekender podcast every single week here on FightfulSelect.com is the place to go. Best $5.99 in the business. We had notes up on Slammiversary and all the stuff going on in TNA world today. We got plenty of news and notes coming out of every show all the time. Indies included. Whatever you want, we got it. Best $5.99 in the business. That's where you go. FightfulSelect.com, including the location for Bound for Glory. It's going to be October 12th at in Lowell, Massachusetts at the Tsonga Center. We had reported back in, I believe, March that Lowell was the landing spot for Bound for Glory. So that's what you're going to see. As for what you're going to see, well, Steven, you mentioned that Slammiversary had the largest attendance for a TNA show. This was the largest since 2013 when they ran the Alamo Dome for Lockdown. They had a 7,100 room in there. When they were running the Alamo Dome. Now they've got 76. Now they have to top that if they want to show at least more growth show over show. Typically, from what I've seen, TNA has been trying to do year over year growth. But if Bound for Glory, they're trying to get more than 7,000 people into the Tsonga Center, they're going to have a bit of a hill to climb, and we'll discuss a little bit more of how they're going to try to get it and other things they might be trying to do to get there. But chat's here, they are feeling a certain way, and I know I am.
Yeah.
Should we just start with the main event, or should we ease you all up to it?
That's up to you, Joel. I'm just here 4 times a year. You're the weekly TNA guy. You're the guy who, for years at this point, before really anyone else was calling for it, really, like you were day one-ish on the Mike Santana becoming TNA world champion. You've been on that bandwagon, rightfully so. And tonight really felt like it was going to be his night. This whole show felt built around him. So it's up to you, man. We can go right now if you want to get it off your chest, or if you want to, milk the crowd and make them wait. That's totally up to you. It's your call.
You know what? Let's get the main event right now. Let's do the main event right now. Mike Santana does not capture the TNA World Championship. Trick Williams ekes out a victory. They do basically, Joe Hendry's also in the match, which is basically how much importance Joe Hendry played into the entirety of the match. He took the pin. And eventually, they played a little bit of an injury tactic with Trick Williams. They brought him halfway up the ramp, and then he ran down. He threw Mike Santana out of the ring as he had just hit 2 spin the blocks on Joe Hendry. Trick Williams retains. Carlos Silva, president of TNA, is slowly wanting to raise the hand he has to raise. Jensen, I need to tell you something that maybe you didn't know. And some people in the chat know this. On our weekly TNA show, on our Impact Post show, Cressa and I have discussed what our futures are in TNA. And I did this on In the Weeds as well over on Fightful Overbooked. That's our morning show, 10 a.m. Eastern, every day, Monday through Friday. I said to both of my co-hosts, if Mike Santana doesn't win, this is it for me in TNA. I said this will be my Thursday's live show because I love a live TNA Impact. They don't happen very often. I said this will be it for me. This is it. And throughout the week, I was basically told, well, best enjoying your Thursdays. Enjoy that from now on. People at TNA were slowly trying to tell me that, and other people that I work with in space were telling me. And I was like, I know it. I get it. It's fine. I get it. It's cool. I like having my Thursdays free. And we're gonna see if that's gonna stick. If I'm a man of my word. Santana didn't win. And Jensen, we've played this game before in TNA. We did this last year with the guy who got pinned tonight, and that's Joe Hendry. We sat here, Slammiversary. I'll be honest, I didn't think it was Hendry's time at Slammiversary. That was a 6-way. That to me felt a little, and I got feelings about how that went, but I didn't.
That was just kind of at like the big peak of like his popularity, kind of like timed up perfectly with that match. But like the story hadn't fully. I'm with you, but a lot of people, myself included, felt like he should have won that night. Also in hindsight now, especially, but
he was on the ascent. 100%. Joe Hendry was on the ascent at Slammiversary last year. They didn't give it to him. They got to Bound for Glory. They didn't give it to him. They got to TNA Genesis. They finally got there. They finally gave it to him. This was after months of having JBL show up and get involved in the matches. And that led to nothing. That led to more in AAA than it led to anything here in TNA. They did so much to not give you Joe Hendry's title win that eventually it kind of cooled off Joe Hendry. Yeah. We're doing it again. You gave Mike Santana in his home base. He doesn't live on Long Island, but he's a Bronx boy. He's still New York through and through. Puerto Rican flags everywhere in this venue tonight. Tons of people came out to go watch this. They told you for weeks that this guy was having his homecoming. And what do? Instead of giving you the moment, they took it away because Trick had to do a fake injury spot. I don't want to play this game again. And for those who were saying, remember Cody Rhodes? You're there. Look, if you're watching on video, look at Steven Jensen's background right now. I'm gonna solo shot, not me, you. I'm gonna solo shot Steven Jensen. How do I just mess this up? Now I just full screen my own thing. Now it looks silly. Look at this. There you go. Look at this. Look at this. This man's entire backdrop, Cody Rhodes stuff. Cody Rhodes. Everywhere. When they did this at WrestleMania 39, a lot of people felt a certain way. They did bring you back around, but they had to take an entire calendar year to take you on that ride. And they had to give you the finish of all finishes to get to it. Jensen, I don't trust TNA to do this again because they didn't do it the first time with Joe Hendry. Why do they think they're going to run it up this time with Mike Santana, who, by the way, as you alluded to, I've been saying this since November, that this is the time, that it's been the time, that when he won against Josh Alexander at Genesis, I said, this is it. Now's your chance. You just called him the heart and soul. Do it. Pull the trigger. Get to it. And now you're doing this. This is where you want to leave it. You want Trick to continue. I get it. It's heat, but man, you upset some people tonight. C. Delgado sends a super chat saying TNA didn't just drop the ball. They deflated it, threw it in a dumpster, and set it on fire. I think there's a good feeling towards that. I think a lot of people might agree with that. What are we going to do? What are we going to do?
I mean, I agree. I agree with all that. And I think the chat does as well from what I'm seeing. I don't think I've seen one person disagree about this. Either from like what I've seen on social media. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Like, especially because of the venue tonight. Like you said, it's a hometown for Santana. Huge pop came through the crowd, like live entrance music. Like, this was the night. 100%. It's not going to, here's the problem. They're not going to have a better opportunity to do this. And there are similarities between, you know, the Cody story and the Santana thing. I get like some similarities about that, but also, you know, when WrestleMania 39 ended, I, along with the entire fan base, we were like, what the hell was that? Like, Roman retained, and it was like, what? But then the payoff a year later did wind up making it worth it, but they like pivoted along the way, and the Rock stuff. That was a once in a lifetime, very, like, you know, that situation playing out the way that it did. Like, you can't count on that from any company to ever really work ever again. Like, not WWE, not TNA, not A. I wouldn't advise AEW doing something like this either. Like, I wouldn't be like, you know, I wouldn't. I think this is just a really bad idea all the way around, because I don't see any scenario where they could have a better opportunity to have Santana win and get like the biggest reaction and like it make the most sense. Plus, I don't understand why Trick Williams needs to be the TNA champion. I don't see like the point in that outside of Trick is kind of like, he's a big star in NXT who's had the NXT championship, and they, you know, if he's not going to be in like the mix for that, I guess this is like a big thing he can do. Yeah, I like Trick Williams. I like the entrance. Like, I like, you know, his presentation and everything. Like, I don't really have anything against Trick Williams. I just feel like it doesn't make any sense for him to be the champion when Santana is right there. And he's been ready for this for a while now. And the Joe Hendry comparison, I think, is very accurate because they waited way too long to put that title on him. Like, I know that at the end of the day, I'm not agreeing with this, but at the end of the day, that was all set up. The timing was just like to get Joe Hendry into the Royal Rumble with the TNA championship, and then like the Randy Orton moment and that kind of stuff. But like, they could have still had him win the championship like 6 months before that and still done all those same things. So yeah, man, I mean, I feel for you, dude. Like this, and I feel for Santana. Not just, I mean, for people who might not know, I cover the indies over on the Fightful Weekender here on Fightful Select. And Santana is all over the indie scene right now also, like collecting major indie championships, like having banger matches. Like, he's in his like prime right now. And I just don't see any reason that there was no reason to put the title back on Joe Hendry. Like, he had his moment. His future's in NXT. Trick Williams is already in the WWE. Santana's your guy. And even though he's not a quote unquote homegrown guy, he's a guy who has a history in TNA before AEW. And then he was always a tag team guy. This is his first real push in a mainstream company as a single star. So in that way, he is a homegrown guy for your company. And now you're going to make people wait even longer for the moment, and it's not going to, the payoff wouldn't be as good as if it was tonight, unfortunately.
So I want to highlight a couple things. One, this isn't an indictment of Trick Williams. I actually think this has been great for Trick. Trick has had nothing better to do in NXT. They're not moving him up to the main roster. His former tag team partner, Carmelo Hayes, is kind of treading water up there as well. There's nothing for Trick. This is the best case scenario right now for Trick. I'm not saying this is his ceiling. I'm not at all saying that. He has proven time and again that he is entertaining, that he's very good at this, and that he is a solid champion for that brand. The problem becomes you have other people on your radar that you're trying to build, and you put all of your eggs in that basket. You had Mike Santana running around doing media for the last couple of days to anyone and everyone, big, small, whatever in between, giving your guy the shot. You had someone wrap him out to the ring. Granted, Trick also had, the Harlem Gospel Choir, and like he got a big entrance as well. And he was also, by the way, shout out to Trick. He was wearing Booker T's old TNA robe, and I thought that was hilarious. Great little, he respects the business and the people that are teaching him. That's why I don't take away from any of these guys. But it's just you're expecting this to continue and you're expecting the momentum to build. And I see people in the chat saying, bound for glory, bound for glory, bound for glory. This is number 2. Traditionally speaking, Slammiversary has been that kind of like, not lull, but like kind of the Empire Strikes Back, because everyone likes to use a Star Wars reference these days. This is everything's bad. Nobody, the bad guys win. Now we get to Bound for Glory. That's their WrestleMania. For anyone who told you that this was their biggest show of the year, it's not. TNA's biggest show is Bound for Glory. It is their actual big event of the year, and it falls in the fall. That being said, they can't hope that Bound for Glory is going to be such a big event that they're going to pull the trigger and effectively make these stars. They did it to one guy tonight, and that's something I'm so happy about. When it comes to Leon Slater, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But when it comes to what they're doing in their main event scene, it's been the same thing for the last little while, especially Frankie Kazarian. Kazarian's been out there putting himself on commentary. And I think it was Ibu from WrestlePurist who was just like, and Self-Made, by the way, he was saying like, they made it feel like a big match. And I just replied, yeah, until the referee goes down and Frankie Kazarian gets involved. And what happens? Daniel Spencer, the referee, doesn't go down, but Frankie pulls him out of the ring as Joe's going for a near fall, and they kicked him out. And it was still like, takes you out of the match, man. That stuff, it's like, you don't need Frankie out there. I wanted Frankie to come and stand up to AJ Styles. That's what I wanted. If you were going to do it. We'll get to AJ as well in a little bit. But when it comes to this main event, it's so deflating for so many people who were going to watch their guy win the title, and instead we're getting this. And let's get a couple super chats. Samuel Mackey saying, my dad and I have been watching TNA since day one. Welcome to the club, by the way.
Yes. TNA Asylum. Shout out.
Exactly. Stuck through the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. I think we're pretty much done now. Those are people you don't want to lose, because those TNA fans, those day one ride or die fans that have seen it all, are the ones you do not want to mess with, because they will sit through everything. Money, no chance, all chance. They have seen it, and it's been the cockroach company. They have lasted through everything, and you can't keep playing this game with certain fans. It's wild. Rolly Boy saying, Sub Fightful at the UBS Arena, had a blast. I'm so glad to hear you had fun. I'm sure the live atmosphere is always the best. I'm so happy to hear you had a blast. I hope it was the best time, and I hope you'll go to more shows in the future if you don't already plan on it. That's the best stuff. Volib saying, in the immortal words of Daffy Duck, I demand that you shoot me now. I get it. So now we're gonna have to see where they tell the story. Trick's still the champion. They do have NXT Heatwave coming up at the end of August. I assume he'll put up the title there. I don't know. They're going to tell a story in Houston on Tuesday with The Undertaker and Trick, and maybe they'll do something with Santana. I don't know. Santana is the next guy to get the match. He got thrown out of the ring. Joe Hendry's done. This is it. We don't need to work with him anymore from that way. And we'll go from there. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, man. I really can't add any more than what I've already said. And what would you? I mean, it's disappointing. It's disappointing that they went that direction. They missed out on a huge moment. And yeah, hopefully, I mean, he'll probably win at Bound for Glory. It just isn't going to be as big as it would have been tonight.
Yeah, Rolly Boy adding as well. Joel, I know you're upset at the main event. Don't go. We'll see, man. I should be a man of my word. Although now I hear the Fridays are open, so maybe I can just slide on into the SmackDown review. Just stay up late on Fridays. Why not? It's not a 3-hour show anymore. I can get through it. I promise. Should we talk about the rest of this show?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's get through it one by one. Let's start with the countdown real quick. The Eleganceseseses retain their knockouts tag team titles over the Inspiration. This was not a surprise to me. The Eleganceseseses come out in their Lady Liberty cosplay. The Inspiration are doing cheetahs. Basically, this all just turns into a schmoz because the Eleganceseses get involved. They use the torch from the outfit that they're wearing. They hit Cassie with it. M by Elegance hits Cassie with the torch, and then Ash hits the rarefied air on Jacy for the win, on Cassie for the win. And then later on, oh boy, TNA doing the most TNA thing imaginable. They rolled the long pre-tape, Jensen, where we showed you.
Yeah.
1, 3, 2, 1. Action. Can't do that, but they ran the whole promo, and then you couldn't even hear what anyone was saying. But apparently they're going to do something like a 3-on-3 on the Impact Live show on Thursday. I was hoping for a rematch with the Eleganceseses barred from ringside, but instead this is it. What any thoughts on that knockouts tag title match to open the show?
No, you pretty much hit it all. M hits Cassie with that torch, as you mentioned. Swanton rarefied air. 1, 2, 3. I mean, I guess the only thing that I would add is a lot of people probably expect that Inspiration to win since they were, coming back and everything. But I don't think the result mattered too much, like one way or the other. But like I do like that Ash by Elegance, Elegance brand rather as a team. I did like kind of their build to winning the titles, and I don't want them like hot potatoing the belts like team to team to team to team. So like I'm totally fine with the result, and the production issues that you're talking about are almost like canon at this point, like in TNA, because it happens every single show. What you're talking at one point or another, there's some weird like someone doesn't hit the right button at some point, and like everyone hears it and sees it. But at least it's nothing too embarrassing usually. But yeah, I nothing left to add for that from me.
Death, taxes, TNA has a production issue.
Yeah.
Usually audio. They found another way to mess up with audio. We'll talk about that in a minute. Northern Armory show up. Eric Young goes for the sports and I'm a Canadian heat. And then he brings back his conspiracy theory gimmick, which I appreciate. And out comes the hometown man wearing exactly what I told everyone he would, a New York Islanders jersey. Let's point out the obvious here. Eric Young's a Canadian. The other guys in Northern Armory, Sinner and Saint, they're also Canadian. Cody Deaner, sorry folks, Cody Deaner is hometown man, is also a Canadian, wearing an Islanders jersey, but the name on the back is Brian Tautier, who is a Canadian. Then they're all feuding over this America-Canada bullshit.
I didn't think about the jersey also being Canadian. I knew the others were all Canadian, but that's a funny little touch there as well.
Had to be a gimmick. I love
had to have been on purpose. Yeah.
Hometown man does defeat Eric Young. He basically just counters a pile driver into a deep sit out pin, and then EY's pissed at everyone, and later on says things are going to change to Sinner and Saint. So I've said this before. Sinner and Saint, the Northern Armory, they were kind of victims of circumstance. They were placed with Josh Alexander. Alexander was on his way out of the company at the time, so they didn't do much to build them. Instead, they put them with EY and just kind of hoped that things would work. And they've worked fine. Like, I love the presentation. I love the way they look. I just don't think that they're giving Sinner and Saint the true tag team dominant performances that they should be getting. Maybe this is the start of moving Sinner and Saint into the limelight and pushing EY back. Your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a great tag team. I've liked those guys for quite a while. Also, like covering them on the indies for years, like prior to TNA. So I like seeing that. I'd like to see them get some more shine as a team as well. All I could really add, honestly, like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. The finish you described with like the back body drop out of the pile driver into that stack pin, like sunset flip attempt, whatever you want to call it. I also always want to point out Eric Young hit an elbow drop from the top rope. Beautiful top rope elbow drop. I put it over every time. My favorite move in the history of pro wrestling is specifically Randy Savage's top rope flying elbow drop. And I'm one of these people that, like, if you don't do a good top rope elbow, please stop doing it. And there's people that I can name right now that I'm not going to, but there's people's names that could probably guess that I'm thinking about. Eric Young always has a beautiful top rope elbow, and he hit that tonight for a 2 count, but I appreciated seeing a nice top rope elbow from Eric Young. And I still remember him, dude, from like, speaking of, day one TNA fans, I remember him coming in with like Team Canada like, you know, fresh faced with like curly hair and just like, or, you know, and just, he was it was literally like a young man, like couldn't have been much older than like early 20s. And like now he's out there with like, you know, gray hair and stuff. It makes me feel old, but it's wild that he can still perform at such a high level with all the years and everything, you know, all the surgeries and stuff. But yeah, I've always got respect for Eric Young. He's also kind of like he's like become a Nashville guy too. And I spent a lot of time living in Nashville, and like I used to watch him at the Nashville Fairgrounds and stuff. So I've always liked Eric Young.
Special guy, special performer. I've always enjoyed him as well. I have an interview with him that the audio only stuck around. This was when he was, I think he was going between WWE and TNA. It was at one point, maybe it was 2022. Regardless, we had a really nice chat back then, and yeah, the audio and the video kind of got messed up, but I still got some of it. Speaking of grays, man, I get it. Sure,
I'm getting there too. I'm starting to see him. Yeah.
You know what caused me a lot of grays? Watching this 6-man tag that was
sure.
We're gonna go on another rant, Jensen.
Okay.
Former Enzo Amore, now called Real One because he can't own the name that WWE had. We'll get there. Joshua Bishop and Zilla Fatu, along with Real One, defeat Mance Warner, Jake Something, and the TNA International Champion Steve Maclin. The only title not on the line tonight is the brand new one. First of all, we got to talk about this. Why? This is your workhorse championship, the one that's going to be defended anywhere and everywhere. And guess what you're doing? You're not having it defended. And when you're not having it defended, let alone anywhere and everywhere, Maclin works the indies. I swear to God, you can attest to this. Okay, you cover this on the Weekender on Fightful Select. Masha Slamovich will go to the indies and put her TNA Knockouts championship, the one she used to have until tonight, on the line in matches on GCW shows, JCW shows. Like, she would put that title up on the line for certain events.
And even if she didn't defend it, she always has it with her. Like, she carries it to the ring with like the JCW World Championship and stuff like that. And she's always announced as the TNA Knockouts champion. Like, it's very front and center as a part of her presentation. Absolutely.
Meanwhile, Steve Maclin, who does work the indies as well, has select dates that he does, is not putting that title on the line, and I'm sure he would love to be. I'm sure he would love to be going to Mexico or going abroad to work the indies with that title, but they're not doing that with him for some reason. He said it in interviews, including ones with us. He would like to defend it internationally, but this is what they have him doing on the Countdown show. Now, I understand this might open up some work with Fourth Rope. I love the idea of him defending, Steve Maclin defending against Jake Something, against Joshua Bishop, against Zilla Fatu. I love those guys all working together. But here's the problem. The guy who got the pin tonight was the former Enzo Amore, who, by the way, went off on this long-ass diatribe of a promo, took up more time talking than they did working. They had 3 minutes in the match, and the promo was 4. And the guy can't say Enzo Amore, so he does the "my name is," and he wants everyone else to tell you what his name is because he legally can't do it. It's like when Cody was Cody and Brandy Rhodes, because he was Brandy Rhodes and not Cody Rhodes. It was just Cody and Brandy. It was the same shit. There was it was a sprint. It was a fun match, but it should not have been a 3-minute this. And the fact that Enzo hits Eat Defeat and gets the pin on Something, that was awful, because now it's going to turn into Enzo versus Maclin somehow. They're going to find a way. And we're going to have to sit through that when we can be sitting through literally anyone else facing anyone else. I'm talking Josh Bishop, Mance Warner, Josh Bishop, Jake Something, Josh Bishop, Steve Maclin, Zilla Fatu, Mance Warner, Zilla Fatu, Jake Something, Steve Maclin and Mance Warner, Jake Something and Steve Maclin, which we haven't done yet. Zilla Fatu and Steve Maclin. We can do everything, but we're going to see the one thing that we don't have to or want to see. Why?
Yeah, so like, I will say this. Enzo has always been fantastic on the microphone. Like, I have to give him his credit. The dude can hold down a room. He gets people in the palm of his hand. Like, he's always been great on the microphone. I'll always give him that. Outside of that, like, I'm with you on like everything. The finish, like, the only thing that kind of saves it is Mance like accidentally clotheslines Jay Something, which leads to Enzo getting the Eat Defeat. So like, at least it's kind of on like Mance also, not like just straight up like Enzo beating Jay Something, if that makes sense. But honestly, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I don't disagree, but the one person that I really want to see them do something with in any company is Joshua Bishop. Okay. I have been a day one Joshua Bishop fan. I literally saw this guy wrestling his like third match of all time, probably 7-8 years ago, whatever it was. This guy, if you're just now becoming familiar with him, he's one of those guys that, like, I don't understand how he hasn't signed like a big contract with a major company like long term at this point. It's really cool though. He is signed to Fourth Rope as, you know, a West Side Gun like sponsored athlete essentially, which is very, very cool. But like at some point, companies like the WWE, AEW, obviously he's worked with TNA and MLW before, like he's been out there, but with that dude's size, I know everyone's always like, he's like Sid Vicious. Is that a problem? Like, do you guys not want to see someone that looks like Sid Vicious that can move the way that Joshua Bishop can? Josh Bishop's awesome. So I hope to see more Josh Bishop just everywhere. And yeah, I mean, I'm also happy Mance Warner is getting bigger platforms too. I've been watching him as long as I've been watching Josh Bishop. And he's also one of those guys that, like, you know, was in MLW forever. And like, I like seeing that him and SDL have like a good thing going for themselves, you know, right now and in TNA, at least being featured on the shows and stuff. So like, I like everyone involved in this. Obviously Zilla Fatu is going to be in WWE at some point. Like that's inevitable. Like he's been the most protected indie wrestler I think I've ever seen in my life, as far as like hardly ever losing matches and being super hyped up. But, you know, so there's a lot of talent in this match, but it was unfortunate. The match itself was shorter than the promo, as you mentioned. And then I was really confused that Real One was the one who pinned Jake something, just like you were. I would much prefer, like, if we were getting, like you said, if we got like Josh Bishop versus Steve Maclin or Josh Bishop or something, or Warner, like coming out of this, or even more with Zilla. Like, I don't dislike the idea. I actually really like the idea of them working with Fourth Rope more. There's a lot of good talent at Fourth Rope, and they could do some interesting stuff, but they can't just be having these 3-minute matches like this. So
it's also worth noting that TNA production has been working with Fourth Rope since the beginning. So like There is a backstage kind of camaraderie and understanding there. Bishop, by the way, was at last year's Slammiversary. He was part of AJ Francis's crew. He was with the company for a little while until, unfortunately, he got injured. So this is a great second look for Josh Bishop. I agree with everything you say. He deserves this moment. He deserves more moments like this and to build on what he's accomplished. The Sid Vicious reference, I mean, even Real One made one tonight, sure. There's nothing wrong with that, especially now that, it's more of an homage than it is a ripoff, because unfortunately we lost Sid Vicious last year or earlier this year. God, it was recent. But we've lost him recently. So why not? You pay homage to the man. You're not ripping off his gimmick. You're just a big dude with the perm.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Anyway.
That was a short match, but a lot of talent in a very, very short match.
Exactly. Let's get to the main card. We open up. Tommy Dreamer's daughter, Brianna, sang the national anthem. I think people would like to hear that. And that's what happened. Mustafa Ali opens up the show. He defeats Cedric Alexander. This was a match that I expected to be fantastic and a match of the night candidate, and it certainly delivered in certain ways. It certainly scared the hell out of people in other ways. The reason I can tell you most people were betting on Mustafa Ali is because we never got a graphic or an announcement of a contract for Cedric Alexander. So feels like this was a cup of coffee for Cedric, which is great because this turned out to be a fantastic match, a very special one for Ali and Cedric. Again, a lot of just matching early, and we got to talk about the dive that Ali took that almost took his own neck off because no one wanted to catch him. Can't do that. And I want you to talk about this because you watch a lot of these guys and girls who work in the indies breaking their necks, hopefully not literally, to do spots like these and be safe. So can you speak a little bit about that?
I mean, I'm probably not the best person to speak about that, honestly. Like, I don't want to throw anyone under the bus or like place blame because I'm obviously not out there, and I'm not the one out there trying to catch people and stuff. Like, I don't want anyone to, but it's one of those things where like it does happen, unfortunately, a little more often than you'd probably like. And it happens especially on the indie scene. It'll happen on like not just high spots, but like really high spots. It'll be like someone like Mr. Danger will climb like a rafter and do like a swanton off the top, and like no one catches it. Just hits the ground off of probably 20 feet high. So there, I'll say it happens more often than I like, but it's always a conversation that winds up happening online afterwards. Like when there's a bad one, you always usually see, you'll get some wrestlers will, defend it and, this and that. It's a layered conversation, but I will say, I don't think anyone's ever maliciously doing it. I don't think anyone's ever meaning to not catch somebody. So that's why I'm always like, I'm not trying to like make anyone feel worse than they already would by making a mistake like that. But it's obviously something that's like ultra important that it isn't happening, because when you're like, you're in pro wrestling, you're already putting your body into somebody else's hands to like a crazy extent. Like the one I always think about is when D'Lo Brown and Draws had that accident where it was literally a running power bomb that like has happened a trillion times in wrestling. And it's like such a thing. You see it over. I've seen it so many times, like this one time. And that's just an example of like even little things can go wrong. So like when someone's jumping and like they're putting their body in your hands, literally completely, you really got to make sure that you catch them because, for obvious reasons. So.
Hyan, who's one of the best unsigned women's wrestlers out there, had pointed out, hi, catch with your body, not with your hands. Thanks. And that is kind of indicative of what this moment is. You catch with your body. And like you said, there is an immense amount of trust that you put into other people you're working with. You have to be ready to take those bumps. You have to be ready to catch those people. You have to be ready to go at a moment's notice. This was one of those times where you saw the move out of the way, and unfortunately, Ali, he almost bore the brunt of it, and it could have been worse. I'm glad that it was just him moving at the right time, and everyone was okay. And then Alexander takes Ali up and over onto the Order 4 and the Secret Service outside, so eventually they get the bump right. Just that first one was very scary. Midway through the match, Tasha Steelz gets ejected by referee Paige Prince of Ali. They do back and forth. There's a 450 near fall. There's a lumbar check on either side. And then Tasha comes back. She's got a chair. She gets stopped by Alexander. And then Steelz gets hit with a lumbar check. Tasha Steelz got hit with a lumbar check that only pales in comparison to the one that Candice LeRae once took on the Indies. If you want to go back and watch that and compare it to the one that Tasha hit or got hit with, they both fly about 10 feet up in the air. It's fantastic. Very well done. But it gives Ali enough time to hit a 450 because he gave the lumbar check to Tasha Steelz. She takes another bullet for the man Ali, and Ali's campaign continues. This was a fantastic match. It was very well done. I love the story here that Tasha, who has been taking bullets for Ali, continues to take them. And this time the story is a little bit changed because it's no longer because of Ali. Now it's in service of Ali. I want your thoughts on all this.
I thought it was a great opener. TNA almost always has banger openers, especially on pay-per-view. Like they really get people going with usually wrestlers like Ali and Alexander, guys that can like really, really go, whether it's like an X Division match or like a multi-person match or something. Like I knew this was going to be good when I knew it was going to be good either way because these guys are great, obviously. But like when it was the opener, I was like, oh, they're going to be showing out. And they did. I thought this was really good. I think they said the last time this match happened was like 7 years ago, and that must have been on Cruiser or 205 Live, I'm guessing.
Yeah,
or WrestleMania.
Right. So they promoted this as a WrestleMania rematch, which like if you're doing a WWE crossover, sure. The guy you not fired, his contract was up. The guy who left and the guy who also asked for his release multiple times doing a WrestleMania rematch on the partner brand is so many weird optics.
It's funny. Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that Cedric's non-commitment is because maybe there's still that chance he's going to wind up in AEW at the Hurt Syndicate, I guess. I mean, because I don't know why else like he wouldn't, unless he was going back to the WWE, but he just like he left there not that long ago. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's also why I assumed that Ali was going to win the match going into it, because like I figured Ali was going to be there, and I didn't know what Cedric's future was going to look like in TNA, but I knew the match was going to be really good. I wasn't surprised to see Ali win. There was good moments, as you mentioned, where both guys kicked out of each other's finishers and stuff, like good near falls. And I really like the finish, as you mentioned, where Ali gets hit, or sorry, Ali rather it's so hard to explain, like, because it's like boom, bing, bang, boom, where Tasha Steelz gets hit with the lumbar check, but Ali literally like lands the 450 at the same time on the way down. So I really like the finish and the way that was timed. And it also didn't make Cedric look quote unquote weak either, because like he was fending off the help from Ali and his crew. And then like literally him getting rid of Tasha Steelz is what cost him the match. But like, what else was he going to do? So yeah, I like this. This is a great opener.
This was kind of the beginning of a lot of kicking out of people's finishes throughout the night.
Yeah.
We did a lot of that. So as we go through it, try to clock them, friends. Try to go and find everyone that happened, because almost every match you got one. Same thing with the baby faces having to fend off multiple bad guy assailants being on the outside. We had to do that in the Knockouts Championship match as well, and others. So let's move on. The System and Matt Cardona, they defeat Darkstate. This was a match that I actually thought Darkstate was going to win, because it was, the story's been, can the System work with Matt Cardona? Darkstate, they've been trying to kind of build as a bigger brand in TNA, or in NXT, I should say. I thought this would be kind of the we beat the veterans. That's why they put them in this match, is because they were going to work with a bunch of guys who collectively have like 60 years of wrestling experience. But instead, System and Cardona beat Darkstate. The System have a new theme, first one since Hard to Kill 2024 when they were in Vegas. I love Lish and JDC doing an Air Sabu spot. Very fun. They did the Jeremy Lambert breakup spot. For those who don't know what that is, it's the former FTR breakup spot where the teams are brawling while one's being pinned. The other tag team members go and they break up the pin by brawling on top of each other. That's now called the Jeremy Lambert breakup spot. And Sack Rider, Boston Knee, that's the win for the System and Matt Cardona, who have now become the best of friends despite not being friends in a very long time, if ever. Matt Cardona is a babyface. The System seems to be turning babyface, especially based on the end of the X Division Championship match. Is this a turning of the new leaf for the System, or where are we going with this? And do you have any thoughts on this particular match?
I think you could be right about a babyface turn for the System, especially, you know, because of the result of the X Division match and stuff too. I mean, I could see that. And especially, I mean, Matt Cardona definitely got, I mean, they were in, like, this was Cardona's backyard. So, I mean, like, they were the baby faces going into this match. And they're also the ones, like, defending the honor of TNA in this match, too. So, I really wasn't surprised with them winning the match. And I like that they won, by the way. I actually like all the guys. I like the System collectively better than I like them pushing, like, Eddie Edwards individually at this point and stuff like that. I kind of, you know, I think, you know what I mean? Like, I think the System could have a decent babyface run coming out of this, especially if Cardona does more with them. Although I'd like Cardona to go back to the WWE. I hope that happens for him at some point, sometime soon. That'd be great. Also, I think that was great that you referred to the radio silence as a Sack Rider, by the way. Yes. For those of you who don't know, shout out to Effie, the current GCW World Champion. He adopted the move after his feuds with Matt Cardona, calls it the Sack Rider, radio silence, Rough Rider, whatever you want to call that move. But yes, the Sack Rider is the best name for that for sure.
It's always in my notes.
Yeah. You had it basically like a Tower of Doom power bomb by the System, and then top rope elbow by Myers. By the way, good top rope elbow from Myers. He respects the legacy of the elbow drop and Randy Savage. So shout out to Myers. And JDC hit the nice, down and dirty. I love me a good top rope leg drop. So like that was a good spot in the match too, like where everyone kind of hit their moves from the System, but you get that saved pin as you mentioned, and then you had the Sack Rider Boston Knee Party by Edwards to follow up. I believe the pin was on Sugars if I remember correctly, not that it necessarily matters. The System gets the win, and good stuff.
Wearing their TNA colors. By the way, Cardona got a huge pop because he is from Long Island, so he was very, very popular back home. I'm sure he loved that. I'm sure that was a very special moment for him to work at UBS, to be home and doing a special little thing for his hometown. Quaranti, aka Collins, saying for the boys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Much appreciated.
Check out Kylie Collins over on Fightful Overbooked every Sunday, or at least most of them, doing Wrestling Made Me Cry. Very fantastic show that y'all should be checking out. If you don't check out Fightful Overbooked, I will personally come over to your house and fight you.
Reminds me of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Then how many people want to kick some ass? So you go around and kick everyone's ass. You talk shit about them on the internet. Anyways, yeah.
I mean, I'd rather talk about this than the next thing we have to talk about. Who?
Okay. The Indi and Tessa match? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. Indi Hartwell beats Tessa Blanchard. I don't know why I had it the other way around in my notes, but for some reason I had Tessa winning this match on my notes, but it's not. Indi Hartwell defeats Tessa Blanchard. This is Tessa Blanchard's second pay-per-view in a row in which she has lost. It's very hard to pay attention to this match when most of the people in the crowd, 7,600 and some of them, are chanting, "She's a racist." When she came back to TNA, 3,000 people were chanting, "She's a racist." When they went to the next venue and had 4,000 people, what were they chanting? "She's a racist." Once again, I will remind everyone, Tessa Blanchard, very good wrestler.
No one's going to dispute that. Fantastic in-ring wrestler.
It's been that way for
like a decade.
Yep. No one is going to take that away from her. Nobody is going to say that she is not a good wrestler. She is a great wrestler. No one should be able to say you don't deserve to work. However, I will remind everyone, once again, like we've done every single time we've talked about Tessa Blanchard since her return to TNA and beyond, all she's got to do is talk about it. All she has to do is just mention it in the safest space she wants to do. I don't care where she does it. I don't care if it's on Instagram Live. I don't care where it is. I don't care who it is with. She just has to address the thing that everyone at TNA keeps telling her she doesn't have to talk about, or she's not allowed to talk about, or she's not supposed to talk about, or don't ask about it. Well, guess what? You just spent the last 3 months playing in our faces with it. You've just spent the last build to this pay-per-view having Indi Hartwell talk about how she doesn't take accountability for anything. And Cresta Star, who's in the chat watching us, shout out to Cresta. She was at the show and is my other co-host. She had mentioned, and again, it's not on me to have these conversations. It is on people who have much different experiences than me. She pointed out they gave her Victoria Crawford and basically said, here's Tessa's black friend. You can't be mad at her now. Yeah. And I agree with Cresta on that feeling. I agree with that. It's absolutely asinine to do this. So yes, this is the problem. As much as we put over the fact that Tessa is a great wrestler, it takes away from the opportunity to talk about the match and how good she can be because she just will not address it. All you got to do. The match was okay. Honestly, it wasn't even that great of a match. The chemistry was missing. Indi got the Hertz donut in, gets the win, and Indi didn't get a lot of offense in. She just kind of got it in the end. Tessa got a big top rope cutter that looked good and then hit the Magnum for a near fall. Like, there were some moments. Really, the post-match is where it picks up. Indi gives a ringside interview with Gia Miller, and then Tessa comes up and beats down Indi and then grabs Gia Miller, slaps her, attacks her on the stairs. Worth noting, Gia Miller has been training. She has been doing some wrestling training. She's also been around Wrestling Revolver. Ace Austin is someone that she works with very closely. And afterwards, later on in the evening, we discover that, Santino confronts Tessa, and Tessa gets ejected from the building. And then before the main event, Santino indefinitely suspends Tessa Blanchard. So let's start with the match. Your thoughts on Tessa versus Indi?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was great either. It was all right. You hit most of the spots that I would bring up. Like, there was, I think they mentioned this is the first time in 7 years the two of them have wrestled each other, so that's worth noting. There was at one point Indi hit the Hertz donut and there was a kick out of two. There was a nice top rope cutter from Tessa, and then the Magnum for kick out at two, as you mentioned. Indi, then she did like the Hertz donut like into the top rope, like head first in the top rope, and then followed up with another Hertz donut to get the win. So that's a lot of Hertz donuts that I just referred to.
Hertz donut?
Yeah, I get it. That's like the oldest. I remember that joke from when I was like literally like 3 years old.
It's perfect for Indi though, because she's such a dork in the best way possible.
Yeah, I don't love the move though. I will say that, and I'm not just saying that now. I've said it when she's hit it recently on the Indies as well. Like, it just has to be hit really clean for it to look right. And I'm not blaming her necessarily. It's just I get what the move's supposed to be, but like there was at least one time during this match where it was like one of those like, well, she didn't get quite all of it moments because like it didn't look right. But yeah, and then as you mentioned, Tessa gets suspended by Santana later in the show, so we'll see where that goes. I was kind of surprised that they went back-to-back women's matches though, because they went from this like right into the NXT Women's Championship match, which I definitely have thoughts about that one as well.
This is the Tommy Dreamer school of producing shows, where the one thing that comes before it or after it might play into the thing that came before it or after it. The whole build to the Enzo and Maclin. So here's if you watch our post show, I was sitting here with Creston. I was saying, I'm pretty sure that Enzo is going to have a match with Maclin or some form of match, because whenever Maclin was on the screen, the next thing was Enzo, or before Enzo would do something and then Maclin would do, they were basically like tied up together. They did the same thing here. And with this indefinite suspension, some people have mentioned it. We'll get to it when we talk about the next match, but there are some people who feel that Tessa may have been suspended indefinitely from TNA, but not necessarily from a partnering company.
Yeah, I know that I've been seeing a little chatter about that in the chat and a little bit on X as well. People speculating that maybe she could be NXT bound. So that would be very interesting to see how that went.
Well, I can tell you how it's going to go, and you just saw 7,600 people do it tonight. Now you're going to do a smaller room.
Yeah,
more people. If it happens, again, nothing's official. It's just the way people are feeling about it. We will see. Title for title match: Jacy Jayne, the NXT Women's Champion, captures the TNA Knockouts Championship. She is a double champion. I was leaning towards Masha throughout the week, and then towards the end of today, I realized everyone's going after Jacy. Blake Monroe, Jordan Grace, Jada Parker, Lash Legend. The only person who was going after anything in TNA land for Masha was Ash by Elegance, who won a battle royal, and they didn't give her that match yet. So I guess it kind of made sense that Jacy Jayne, who's on this hot nobody can beat me even though you think I'm the most beatable champion ever, it makes sense for her to win. And the match I thought was very good. Masha had told Laying Lee and Zaya Brookside to stay backstage on a backstage exclusive thing that they posted to socials, and that's something that I wish TNA did less of when it came to pay-per-views, because I had a lot of people asking, hey, where is Zaya and Laying Lee? They were supposed to be here.
They were advertised to be ringside with her, yeah.
They were, and then earlier they just show a pre-tape where Masha's like, I'm going to do it alone, and it's like, okay. And it didn't really last long because they did come out to confront Fatal Influence, who had been involved throughout the match with Jacy and Masha. There were some really good spots here. In the end, let's just get to it. It picks up at the end, by the way, when Zaya and Laying Lee come out. They confront Fatal Attraction. Paige Prinzavali, the referee, gets knocked out. Masha hits a snowplow. Referee Daniel Spencer comes down. He counts the near fall. It's a little too close, but too late. Doesn't get it. They start trading some roll-up near falls, and then finally a rolling encore on Masha, and Jacy wins. Carlos Silva, the TNA president, has to bring both titles to Jacy, and she grabs them, and she's the TNA Knockouts and NXT Women's Champion. I don't hate this. I know a lot of people are feeling a certain way. Here was J94 saying, feels like Jacy will lose one of those titles soon. She's going to go get tired doing double duty. Hopefully tricks around next PLE or Bound for Glory. We'll get to that in a little bit. But yes, with Jacy, she got them both. Maybe she will get tired. Maybe she'll go on the Kenny Omega run and have all the titles. What are your thoughts, Jacy Jayne, winning the TNA Knockouts title tonight?
Well, so first off, I liked the match as well. I thought it was a solid match between these two. Masha, especially, like there's not as much of like a sample size for me with Jacy Jayne, but like I've been watching Masha for a long time, especially across the indie scene, and I'm a humongous fan of Masha Slamovich. I say this every time I'm on here. She's one of my favorite wrestlers of any gender in the world. I think incredibly highly of her. I think she should be a massive worldwide star in wrestling, and she's getting there. She will get there. She's very, very, very talented. I liked the finish of the match as well, where like it basically came down to Masha actually going for the White Knight driver, and it gets like reversed to a sunset flip. They trade pin attempts, and eventually Masha gets kicked into the turnbuckle. the rolling encore is nice. Looks like she took her out, good with that. So I mean, I like the match itself. I like the finish, but I don't like the actual result because especially knowing the result of the main event in hindsight also, like, this doesn't make TNA look very good, in my opinion, when you're coming out of the show and Jacy Jayne is now holding the TNA Knockouts title and Trick Williams is the TNA Men's World Champion. And especially because I'm hoping that Masha is going to be featured more often on NXT either way. I mean, she's been on the show, and I have no idea what her contract looks like with TNA. I haven't looked into that at all. I don't know if you know what that looks like. And the only reason I even ask is because, like, the only reason I see this making any sense is if Masha wasn't going to be in TNA much longer. But even then, you would think the next place she would be going is NXT, and they already have this relationship with TNA. So this didn't make much sense to me, especially with Masha having the title for so long and all the things you could have done with this. Like, imagine Masha Slamovich is the NXT and TNA women's champions, and then at some point down the line, after like the Blake Monroe and Jordan Grace feud, if we got like Jordan Grace versus Masha Slamovich for the titles, but it was on NXT with like way more eyes than like the people who had seen that match in TNA, what that would do for someone like Masha. I don't know. Part of this is also, I'm probably biased. Like, I'm just a really big Masha Slamovich fan. So like, I really wanted to see her win this match. And, it took so long for someone to beat Jordan Grace for that title. And Masha was the one who finally did it. And she's done such a great job with that belt. She's had it for a long time. But I guess at the end of the day, I would have preferred to see her lose to like an actual TNA knockout that they're going to like build off of versus someone in NXT. So
been a little strange. You mentioned the contract situation. Masha re-signed at the beginning of 2025. Typically, most TNA deals are a year, so we could be looking at the end of this year as an expiry. Do not quote me on this. Do not report any on this. I can tell you that in January she did resign. We actually did. We had a triple tandem interview because at the time it was John Skyler, Ash by Elegance, and Masha had all re-signed and announced at the same time. And Sean did an interview with the three of them. So just to jog my memory, that does exist. There is obviously interest in Masha from many people across many different wrestling planes. She's someone who once told me before an interview we did in 2023 when she was GCW World Champion. She had just done it. She basically said, I need to do more of these so that I get more comfortable. And those are interviews and just being on camera with microphone, because typically up until Bound for Glory, she was a Russian-speaking woman who didn't really cut promos. And then she won the GCW title. She started cutting promos in GCW, and now she's starting to cut promos in TNA because she needed to get her that side of her work up, because it wasn't the same as her. Like, she's great in the ring. She has an excellent ring IQ, and she puts together matches very well. But it's been her promo that she thinks and she agrees needed some work. So I think there's an idea that if they're going to have her work some more NXT, they want her to get more live reps on a microphone, because they tried it on Tuesday, and I won't tell you that it was the best. But I can tell you they certainly want her to keep working, because they had her come out of Great American Bash as well, get a little physical with Jasmine Nix, do something just so that she's on TV, getting acclimated to the fans and not just sitting in the crowd. Again, this isn't me reporting. This is very much tea leaves and speculation, but for sure she did resign at the beginning of this year. Most of those. Yeah. I'm not going to say the words that are being said in the chat about what you think I said. Now, the stuff with Jacy is, again, there are more people after her than are after Masha. Ryan Adams, one of your favorites, I know.
Yeah, Skull Vikings. I'm so excited for JJ McCarthy, by the way. I am so excited. The Vikings are winning the Super Bowl this year, everybody. I'm so excited. Anyways, thank you, Ryan. Go ahead, Joel.
Spotlight on Thursdays. Go check them out. That's where they talk about all the football. Happy for Jacy. Tessa's going to NXT, isn't she? That is the prevailing sentiment. She has been ousted from TNA indefinitely, and many people were expecting this to be a backdoor for Tessa, but do they want to try and take on that particular person and that baggage? That's going to be.
We'll find out. Yeah,
we are going to find out.
Yeah.
We got another chat earlier from I Love Dogs saying TNA has to invade NXT on Tuesday night, right? Well, excuse me, I'm going to cough for a second. Got something in my throat. There's two problems with that. One, they're in Rhode Island on Thursday for Live Impact. NXT this week is in Houston, Texas. So I don't know if they're going to tell most of the roster to come and do a thing in Houston at an event at a venue that they have booked out for NXT, or maybe they will. Maybe it'll be a special come and see this event happen. But they are in Houston, and Trick Williams, the TNA champion, is supposed to confront the Undertaker. So there's that, some LFG integration.
That's wild.
Yep,
that's all I can say. That's wild that they're doing like a LFG crossover thing with Trick Williams and the Undertaker's actually involved in all that. That's wild.
Like there's some cool factor of this, like you've never thought you would see this with this. Like there's some puzzle pieces that are cool, but we're also still dealing with the fact that your TNA World Champion is not Mike Santana, who could have been crowned at home, and instead you're going to wait until you get to Lowell, Massachusetts, where he is not from, to possibly tag him as champion. By the way, Hendry versus Santana on the Live Impact show. Don't know how much that's going to appeal to people, given that we just saw most of that, but here we are. Shall we talk about another actually good match?
Yeah, I've got a lot of notes on this one. This was a good one.
The X Division Championship. The youngest in charge, Leon Slater, has become the new X Division champion. He defeats Moose, who has a new theme, and apparently wears Goodyear boots, like the Goodyear blimp. He wears boots made by that same company.
That's cool.
I know, right?
Those blimps, I hardly ever see that. I guess like sporting events, you probably still see those a bit, but
they still make tires. I guess they're kind of known for that. But anyway, Moose wears Goodyear boots. You can.
I'm talking about the blimps. I know the company still exists, but
he wears Goodyear blimps. So good luck.
Yeah.
This was a really fantastic match. This was people were asking what's going to be your sleeper match of the night, and this was the one I gave them because I knew I've seen Moose and Slater work together. I know what they're capable of, and also I knew from the beginning that Moose's title reign was in service of putting over Leon Slater. You watched so many TNA stars, past and present, put over Leon Slater, including the biggest one possible at the end of this whole match. We'll talk about that in a minute because this is one of the things people were really excited for. But Leon Slater does get the win over Moose. A lot of near falls, a lot of spear near falls, but towards the end, we have Slater going up for a 450 swanton. Moose flips him off, and he rolls to the other side of the ring. So Leon Slater says, all right, I'm just going to do a swanton bomb. And he does it, and then hits the 450 swanton, which is his actual finish. And he's now the youngest X Division champion of all time. And at the end of the match, Moose happily puts the title around Leon Slater's waist. Before we get to the next part, let's talk about the match. Thought it was great. I want you to hit some of the stuff that you liked out of this.
Yes. So going into this, as you mentioned, there was two stories going into this. You had Leon Slater trying to become the youngest X Division champion, and I believe, based on the video package, Amazing Red was the youngest before him, and he did a code red during the match. So I think that was who the youngest was before this. But either way, Leon Slater is trying to become the youngest X Division champion. Moose is trying to become the longest reigning X Division champion, trying to surpass Austin Aries in the record books. So you have high stakes on both sides of this, because if Moose wins, then I guess there isn't any way by the next time that they're taping or having any shows that. Did you say they're going to be live this upcoming Thursday?
Yes, they're live this Thursday.
So I guess before this Thursday would have been the day that he would have passed Austin Aries. Anyways, so there's a lot of stakes going into this one. Some of the spots that I wrote down from this, Slater comes out hot at the beginning of the match, but eventually gets hit with, I don't know, I can't remember what Moose calls it, but it's like that second rope sky high that he does.
Go to hell.
Go to hell. D'Lo Brown style from the second rope. I like that. Gets a big uranagi for Moose, gets Moose chants from the crowd. They were fighting on the ring apron. Leon Slater goes up to the second rope, and it looks like he's going to go for another one of those. What did you say? Go to hell? I already forgot the name of the move.
Yeah, go to hell.
Go to hell. He goes for another one of those, but Leon Slater counters it into a Hurricane Rana onto the outside. That was nice. And then Slater goes for like a flip over the top, and Moose catches him and then walks him up the entrance ramp. And then Leon counters that with another Hurricane Rana on the entrance ramp. Then he does a flipping plancha over the turnbuckles and the ring post to the outside onto Moose. Moose hits a nice pop-up power bomb for 2. Moose hits the discus lariat, then hits a buckle bomb, but then Leon Slater falls up out of the buckle bomb right into a big lariat, and both guys go down. Slater reverses a spear with a leg lariat. So like he's like, Moose is coming at him, but Slater reverses with a leg lariat and then goes up to the top and gets crotched. Slater then reverses another spear attempt with an inside cradle. Moose hits a spear kick out at 2. Moose misses a spear, hits the turnbuckle. Slater hits Utopia, which is like that Burning Hammer Blue Thunder Bomb move. Then hits a spear of his own, Swanton 450 kick out at 2. And then we had that finish. Oh, actually, we had a little bit more. I even have more notes. I noted, though, after that Swanton 450 that they mentioned on commentary that's the first time anyone's kicked out of that move in TNA.
That's true.
So,
yeah, you're right.
Big kick out from Moose there off that Swanton 450. We had a variety of kicks by Slater. Slater does a springboard into getting hit by a spear mid-air by Moose. Slater hits a code red on the outside of the ring. Slater gets to the top rope. Moose rolls to the middle of the ring, as you mentioned, gives the middle finger, Swanton, then Swanton 450, and the moment where Moose puts the belt around Leon Slater's waist after the match. I know that was a lot of things that I went through there, but it was one of those things where it was all action throughout the majority of the match, and it made Leon Slater look so good. And also, I'm going to give Moose his flowers. I do pretty much every time I'm on here. I'm a big-time Moose defender when it comes to his in-ring work and his progression as a pro wrestler over the years. This dude has more than proved himself every time. Like, every situation, any title belts, whether it's with a group, whether it's as the world champion, this run with the X Division title, the people were skeptical about going into it. What's this going to look like? I know it's about, it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits, but like Moose isn't your kind of typical X Division style wrestler for the most part. And all this was built, as you mentioned, as a vehicle to get the title onto the now the youngest X Division champion ever, Leon Slater, who's only 20 years old still. Yeah. And it also opens it up, like it's not a bad thing to have somebody this talented, this young, who's from the UK, who also is going to bring like that fan base, and more people are going to be fans of TNA over there too. And so like it all works hand in hand. And he was a fantastic prospect on the indie scene. I mean, the guy wrestling since he was 9 years old, which is unreal.
Wow.
So like
illegal in those circles.
Yeah. So this all worked really well. And yeah, shout out to Moose. I know Moose actually watches our post show. So like if you see this, Moose, another great performance on another big show. Congratulations to you, sir. And I'm interested to see what happens going forward. Like, the guy's been with TNA forever at this point, and I always keep feeling like, okay, well, has he done everything there is to do? And then like they figure out something next to do with him, and he knocks it out of the park again. So, and he always looks like $1 million. The dude looks like a super athlete. He looks the part. He's great in the ring. He does what he needs to do. And Leon Slater is one of those guys who like is the future of pro wrestling, and someone TNA should really galvanize and like really, if they have him and can keep him long-term, really continue to build around him, which leads us to the big moment after the match, as you mentioned, after the title belt has been put around the waist of Leon Slater by Moose. Then what happens, Joel?
Well, first of all, I want to point out our pal Ken Bruno was at the show tonight. He mentions that Leon's family was reacting to the whole match and acting like his life was on the line, and that they didn't show them too much. They maybe showed them about 3 or 4 times, but when Leon won the match, when he won the title, he ran right over to his family, gave him a big hug. He was very clearly emotional and elated that he won this match and that he won the title. It was a big moment because, again, this is something that has been building. I will say again with Moose, I know he's not for everyone and people have their reasons, but when it comes to the wrestling acumen and when it comes to the way that he will find certain talent and decide that this is the story he wants to tell, I think this was the right guy and the right story to tell it with. So this was a big moment. You've seen Leon Slater getting rubbed from the Hardys for the last few months. You saw him getting from other TNA legends, and he got it from Moose. And then Moose leaves the ring. It's just Leon Slater, and all of a sudden, you hear it for the first time in 11 and a half years. AJ Styles comes out. You hear "Get Ready to Fly," People were ecstatic. People were very, very, very excited. Big reaction for AJ Styles. He comes out. Leon's still in the ring and he's excited. He's jumping up and down. He's a fan again, which was so cool to see. And AJ comes out and basically says really nice things about being back in TNA, that this was what he wanted. And the fans are chanting, one more match, one more match. He's like, we'll get to that. And he never gets back to that, by the way. He just says, we'll get to that, but we don't. He goes over, Leon Slater is the chanting, you deserve it. And he says, you don't deserve it. You earned it, which is like the most new way of people trying to be nice about getting a title. And anyway, it's a passing of the torch moment. AJ Styles, he comes out. This was his way of almost closing the chapter of TNA and giving the ball and giving the torch, passing it over to Leon Slater, who, like you said, he's 20 years old. He is a prodigy in this business, much like other young talent who are coming up and other companies have been shown to be, Roxanne Perez being one of them. Kyle Fletcher's another one who's a young guy coming up in AEW. There are plenty of those. People were singing the theme. People were excited to see AJ Styles. Here's what's really frustrating. We spent the first top of the show talking about the main event and what happened and what didn't happen. And meanwhile, we were all really excited for AJ Styles to be a part of the show. Now, thinking back on it, we've seen the main event. We've seen the whole show. You've watched AJ Styles come out. Was this enough for you to see AJ just come out and cut a promo? Were you expecting more? Were you expecting a match? Were you expecting a moment? What did you expect, and what did you think about AJ Styles coming out, addressing the crowd, and giving the rub to Leon Slater?
The main event doesn't really take away, or the result of the main event rather doesn't really take away from me the AJ Styles moment, because my expectations for AJ and TNA were pretty low as far as like I didn't know like to what extent he was going to get involved with like the show or any storylines, or like, I'm sure it was in a lot of people's heads, like, could they build towards like AJ versus Trick for the title or something? Like, I mean, like, I'm sure that like people have fantasy booked the idea of AJ wrestling one of these TNA guys either in either in WWE or on NXT or over in TNA again. But because it'd obviously be super cool to see AJ wrestle at least one more match in a TNA ring before he retires. Like, I think that'd be awesome. As far as like him coming out and putting over Leon Slater, I like that a lot. I mean, they got like the intended result on that. I feel like the fans were really into it. I loved hearing the music again and the whole entrance. Like, I'm a day one TNA guy. Like, I've talked about it before on this show. The old heads like myself, and Joel, we are now the old heads in the community.
How dare you?
I'm going to say this because I'm going to start referencing things like Kazaa and LimeWire and these kind of file sharing alleged programs that we may have used back in the day before YouTube was even in existence, where it may or may not have been a place where people like myself could find the TNA weekly pay-per-views back in the day, and I could find clips of guys like Amazing Red. When I discovered indie wrestlers like Trent Acid back in the day and stuff like that, it was through these now primitive sounding online ways of kind of like discovering this kind of stuff. And the reason I say all this is because I have really, really fond memories of like watching stuff from the TNA Asylum, and then living in Nashville myself years later. I would go to it was the Nashville Fairgrounds was the TNA Asylum. So they would run wrestling shows there even after TNA was long gone. I actually lived in Orlando the same time they were running out of Universal, and I went to some of those shows back in the day. And I've always been a TNA fan, to some extent, and AJ Styles, I really can't, unless you were there, it's hard to really put it into words. Like, he was the man outside of the WWE for a long time, where it was like the one guy, and we're not talking like former WCW star, someone like Sting who didn't come over forever. So like AJ was like the one guy. Like, sure, like he had been in WCW for a cup of tea as the company was folding. He showed up in WWE a couple times, and then, before he was really AJ Styles. But what this guy means to TNA, like, it's not underselling when people are saying stuff like TNA probably doesn't exist without AJ Styles being the backbone of that company, especially in the early years of their existence. Like, AJ was the face of that company. To me, TNA died when AJ left, and like it turned into Impact, and like there was all these different changes at the company over the years and stuff. To me, it was like when AJ left, me and a lot of people were like, this is not the same company without AJ Styles. And he's even said in interviews, like he doesn't like that Ready to Fly theme song. Like he doesn't really want to come out to it and stuff, but like, you know, that like tonight it was the right night. He had to do it. And he looked like he loved every second of it. The fans were singing every word of that. He was living in that moment, and it's cool. It's cool that 11 years later, TNA, AJ Styles returns to TNA, and that's a whole story in itself. Like the way that they treated him on the way out was embarrassing. Like he should have never, in a perfect world, in his perfect world, he would have never even left TNA. He would have always been there. But things worked out the way that they did, and obviously, this is how good AJ Styles is. You could take just AJ Styles' WWE career, not TNA, not New Japan, nothing else. Just his WWE career alone is a Hall of Fame career. You look at his TNA and outside WWE, like that's a Hall of Fame. He has like multiple Hall of Fame level careers within his own career. He's been around so long and accomplished so much. Yeah, this was super cool. This was a mark out moment for me. I love seeing him come out and yeah, it reminded me too of like the old YWC, like the YouTube wrestling community days back in like 2005, 2006, 2007, back when like there was no social media where like you couldn't just like get on Twitter and stuff. Like the real TNA fans, like Bill and Doug and these kind of guys, like they were out there. Like it was grassroots promotion. It was wrestling fans who wanted something different than what the WWE was giving them. We were seeing John Cena beat all of our heroes at all these WrestleManias, and we were sick of it. And TNA was like our escape, and AJ Styles was our guy. He was the guy outside of the WWE for the longest time. So yeah, this was really cool. For me as a fan, this was really cool. Even though it was just him coming out and just putting over Leon for a little bit, it did a lot for Leon, in my opinion. I'm sure that was the coolest moment of his career, winning the X Division Championship and getting the endorsement from AJ Styles and at Slammiversary. And yeah, even if that's the last we ever see of AJ Styles in TNA, at least for like the history's sake, it happened. I'm very happy for that.
So I'm going to point out two things. One is actually the AJ Styles thing. The reason why people thought there was a match incoming is because if you watched Impact, you saw they opened the box, and what was in the box? It was AJ's gear. Normally, when you bust out gear, you're assuming someone's going to wrestle. That wasn't the case. He came out in the vest, but when you saw it, it was AJ Styles wrestling gear. So that's why people had it in their head that he'll either do something, a surprise match, or maybe he is going to come out and do an actual match by Bound for Glory. We'll talk about another match that they're trying to set up for Bound for Glory that's trying to hit nostalgia, and you can feel a certain way about it.
Yeah.
That could be what they're trying to do, is build up a Bound for Glory card that's got nostalgia and feel good, and this is how they think they're going to get there. Rolly Boy saying, after that rub from AJ and Moose, they need to keep Leon Slater forever. They're going to try their best to keep him, but money can only keep you for so long, and TNA does not have the same money. Leon Slater could easily find his way over in NXT within the next couple of years, if not sooner. That's up to his pocketbook and what he wants to do, but it's very clear that TNA wants to make this guy one of their top priorities when it comes to being pushed, when it comes to being spotlit, and when it comes to development. He is one of their guys, and they should absolutely continue building him because he wants to be there. Now, this was point number 2. UK talent. They think the world of TNA. Will Ospreay talking so much about, and people thought that he was just putting it on. No, he loved TNA, loves it to today's standard.
So that's like what they got. Like people don't know, like, oh, is that where you were going? Okay, sorry.
Will Ospreay. Joe Hendry was another one. And on all of their interviews, Leon Slater too, like you were about to say, Jensen, this is the show that they got to watch growing up because WWE was on Sky Sports in the UK. It was on a cable channel that was more expensive and they did not have access to. Meanwhile, TNA was readily available across free TV on UK television. And as a result, they came and they saw it and they fell in love with it. That's why a lot of this talent coming over from the UK at this age love it, is because they grew up on it. And they want to be there and they want to be able to say, I wrestled in the place that got me into wrestling. Leon Slater is no different from Will Ospreay and no different from Joe Hendry. There really is a passion there for TNA based on their upbringing and their location. That cannot be understated.
Yes, you nailed it. And that's cool as hell for them. And you can obviously see it in Will Ospreay's work, especially like Styles Clash, multiple AJ Styles moves that he used. I mean, like there's that, and that's so cool too that they had accessibility to that. Like I remember even when TNA was on Fox Sports Net for a while, like that was just cool. That I could like come home from school in high school and it was like a 30-minute show. I don't think it was even a half hour long when it started on TV.
Friday at 4:00 in the
it was like, it was on. So I was literally like right when I came home from school, it'd be like TNA. Like I was so into it. It was so they had like the sports ticker on the top and yeah.
They brought the ticker back for Impact 1000 just once.
There you go.
I think it was for the Rhino match, but it may have been for the Eric Young match. Either way, they did it for one of those matches for Impact 1000. Tenruza sent a super chat saying, I love TK's tweet after the show. Love you guys. Appreciate you. TK tweeted out something like, thanks for everyone who supports AEW. We've had a great year, blah, blah, blah. Like he does promotional shtick. Tony's happy. When Tony's happy, Tony will take his jabs. And when Tony's not happy, Tony will sometimes reply to jabs being taken. Right now, he's on a high. Let him live. If AEW is for you, fantastic. It's not great. Do whatever you want. Watch your wrestling is what he used to say, and I'm going to take it back. Watch your wrestling.
I'm a big AEW supporter, by the way. For people who like might not be familiar with me, that just hear me talking about TNA right now and stuff. Like I love AEW. I love all these. I hope all these companies are successful. For me as a wrestling fan, it's the best scenario for me is all these companies are successful. Like this is the best time ever to be a wrestling. I've said it 1,000 times. People get really jaded, and I know that there's different ways you can look at this. You can debate it till the end of time, but like with the accessibility to wrestling and how good the athletes in wrestling have become, and all the options, and be able to stream and on demand and all these different platforms and stuff, and it's just and I lived through the Attitude Era. Like I lived through the Monday Night Wars Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression. I lived through all of it. Like this is the best time, honestly, to be a wrestling fan, and a lot of it is because you have companies like TNA and AEW and WWE is doing the best. Like you can have your opinions about WWE's booking and stuff like that. Obviously, people are entitled to their opinions, but the business these companies are doing, the amount of people that are interested in professional wrestling right now is the most we've seen in a very long time. So I want all these companies to be successful, just for the record.
Me too, and I also want them to have cheap tickets so I can go.
See, that's a whole other conversation in itself. They are pricing out their hardcore audience, and not just the WWE, but also in the UFC. They're obviously owned by the same company at this point, but it's happening. There's been multiple events here in Atlanta recently from both WWE and UFC that the cheapest tickets to get in the door, nosebleeds at the back of the building, was like over $200 plus fees just to be in the building for this stuff now. So that's a whole other conversation in itself, but like I'm 100% right there. That's the one thing. It sucks because on one hand, these companies are doing the best actual business that they've ever done, making the most money that they are, but their actual hardcore fan base like can't actually get to the live events anymore, a lot of them, because they're outpricing them. So that's super unfortunate. It's happened to me recently a couple times.
Well, you know what? Tonight to get in the door, I think it was about $42 to start, which is pretty affordable if you're going to do that.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, keep it affordable. More people will come to your shows. But anyway, we'll move on. The last match we have to talk about before we get to the end and all the other stuff we talk about. 4-way tag team ladder match for the tag titles. Once again, the Hardys are champions. They defeat First Class, the Nemeths, and the Rascalz. Worth noting here, Trey Miguel, who had planned to be in the match, unfortunately, as of today, was unable to participate. He has a hernia. His plan was to get it worked on after Slammiversary. He had said as much. Said he was going to come in, do the match, didn't want to miss Slammiversary, but unfortunately, looks like he wasn't cleared to compete, and as a result, he's out. We send our best to Trey. We know how much this moment meant to him, and we also know he's been dealing with a lot of things, both in and out of the ring. He's been fairly public on his socials about it. Send him our best, and we hope that his recovery is quick and that we see him back in the ring as soon as possible.
Yes.
Myron Reed came in to replace Trey, just like he had done earlier in June at the Pittsburgh tapings that led us into Slammiversary. This match was a whole lot of stuff.
I've got some notes.
Let's get into it. So first of all, you should know, First Class came out with 3-0 Black performing. Get in-ears on these wrestlers, on these performers. I'm going to say it again. In-ear monitors, the thing I'm wearing right now, these guys, wear them. If you are a performer and you are going to sing along to a song in the arena, get a pair of these and rap along or sing along to your track, because you cannot listen to the house speakers and hope that it's on time, because it's not.
It never is.
Never is. Full credit. Recently, and other companies do that. Every company's guilty of it, but I'll tell you, one time they got it right. Most recently at All In Texas, they got it right when the Hurt Syndicate, they played the guys down to the ring and everyone was wearing in-ears. MVP, the smoothest mother you know what around, doing his bars, and he has his in-ears in and he's just cruising. He's good. All good. That's what you want. But whatever 3-0 Black was doing, unfortunately, he was having a bit of a rough time trying to follow along with the speakers and not in the in-ears. Anyway, he's out there performing. Tay-Rock's there. Lady Caution's there. Chet's there. Zach Pascal, who's a Giants wide receiver, is there. And Kazim Famude, he's there as well, which raised a lot of fun eyebrows. People are like, why are you there? Because he's all over the place. That's why. So they brought First Class down to the ring. The Nemeths are wearing the Dudley camo, so a little bit of foreshadowing to what we'll get in later. I'm going to let you take over here, but I will say this. So many red and yellow ladders. So
yes.
Everything was red and yellow. And I was like, this is painful on my eyes, but we got through it.
Is it an homage to former TNA representative, the Hulkster, Hollywood Hulk Hogan? With the,
I think it's the colors of the TNA.
No, I'm kidding. I'm completely kidding. That we could do it the next 3 hours on just my thoughts of the regression of the company of TNA with his involvement with Eric Bischoff, like how good they were sitting until they showed up, and then how backwards everything went when they were around. That's a total joke. Red and yellow, brother.
You want to talk about creative control? Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Oh my
Go
God.
ahead. Let's talk about this match. The Hardys recapture the TNA tag titles, and one interesting. The mind of Jeff Hardy is one to be examined for years to come.
He's the man. I mean, he's had a lot of shortcomings. He's had a lot of personal demons, and he's cost him and Matt a lot. I mean, and they'll admit that. I mean, there have been a lot of pushes and a lot of companies that came to a halt. I mean, people can have their opinions of like AEW, for instance, like dropping the ball with the Hardys while they had them and stuff. But Jeff will be the first one to admit, like, well, yeah, I mean, they were doing something with us, and I got in trouble. I mean, like, what? Like, I understand why they didn't, TNA, look no farther than the Sting match. Like, I mean, there's been a lot of reason, but like, I've always stayed behind the Hardys. It's also kind of thing with me. Like, I lost my mom young. I know that they had, like, their mom was like sick when they were young, and they lost her young too. And I have a younger brother. There's like a lot of parallels kind of between like the brotherhood between like my brother and like I know Matt really looks out for Jeff. I really look out for my brother. Like, I've always had a connection to those guys. And then on top of it, what they've put their bodies through over the years for our entertainment, and Jeff especially, like, people who haven't watched wrestling in the last 20 years, like, if you were like, do you know who Jeff Hardy is? A lot of people would be like, oh, dude, yeah, I know Jeff Hardy. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has a moment of remembering him jumping off of a ladder. You know what I mean? Like, everyone. So you're not going to ever really catch me saying anything bad about the Hardys ever, outside of, I'll admit, just like they would, that they've both had their issues, but they continue to persevere, and they are a big reason why I think that the ticket sales have been good for TNA. I think that there are a lot of people, like, whether they're even wrestling fans or not, I think they just hear, like, the Hardys are here. Like, cool, I want to see the Hardy Boys. That's all. The Hardy Boys are in a ladder match. What? Like, I'll go watch that. Like, they're still a draw. And they'd be a draw in any company. Like, it's just a matter of how you book them and like how available they are, and then kind of staying out of their own ways. But like, I wasn't surprised at all that the Hardys won this match, by the way. In my predictions, I predicted that the Hardys would win this. And also, I want to say Myron Reed, it was very cool to see him, stepping up again with the Rascalz. Myron is somebody that I watched years ago as well. Back in like 2018 or 19, I was at a Glory Pro show, and he was only like maybe a couple years into his career, if that, at the time, and he accidentally won their world championship, the Crown of Glory title. There was like a mistake in the match, and he accidentally won their world title, and he had to like step up immediately super fast and like carry this whole indie company on his back on accident and totally pulled it off. I watched the guy have banger after banger. He's been, for people who don't know, he's been a part of the Rascalz like this entire time. It's just he wasn't with the original, or the other three during their original TNA run and in NXT and stuff. But Myron has been killing it on his own for a long time as well. He's had multiple stints in MLW, all over the indies. He's super, super high level, just like the other Rascalz are. So like, if you're not familiar with Myron Reed, he's on that level. So, become familiar with him. He's super talented. I've never liked the Nemeths as a tag team. I'm not a Ryan Nemeth fan. I respect Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth. I respect him. He's somewhat of a legend status. Like, he was in WWE forever, had a lot of success. I had no interest in them being the tag team champions. First Class, I'll get to it in a second, but there was a very scary spot in this match for AJ Francis.
By the way, his DMB are totally fine. He'll let you know.
Wait.
By the way, AJ Francis, his DNB, they're totally fine. He'll let you know.
Oh, okay. Okay. I didn't know what you said the first time. Okay, yeah. Dude, the way he landed, yeah.
I don't know what he expected.
Yeah.
So basically, we'll just get to the spot now.
I'll get there. I'll go through it and I'll get there.
Okay.
This won't take long.
But by the way, I just want to point out, because you're burying the Nemeths, how dare you, first of all.
Okay.
This is the best Ryan has ever been, because he's been with his brother.
Oh, sure.
And he's been able to be this obnoxious, just garbage human being. And I think it's the best we've ever seen out of Ryan Nemeth. And this is coming from a time when we had to watch Being the Elite and the Milk Saga. And that was terrible. So really, it's a low bar, but he has found a way to clear it and then some by just being Nick Nemeth's brother. And that I appreciate. Go on.
I blame Ryan Nemeth for the downfall and cancellation of BTE. I solely blame him.
You know what?
On it.
I'm on board with that.
Yeah. Remember, I used to review that weekly for the Weekender for years, and then like once he started getting involved, I was like, I started warning people. I was like, guys, this show's looking kind of grim. Like, the views are really dropping, and like people aren't liking this. And like, what's the one thing that's changed about this show recently? Anyways. Here's the spots of the match that I wrote down, and then we'll get to that big spot here that we're kind of foreshadowing. So kind of early on in the match, a good spot where AJ Francis puts Jacy Navarro on his shoulders, like he's standing on his shoulders, and Wentz hits a good top rope drop kick to knock them over. Both Rascalz up on the top rope, do like a dual ladder shot to AJ Francis, and then Myron Reed hits the flame on his like over the top rope cutter to the outside, hits that on Ryan Nemeth as well. That was really nice. That's such a sketchy move, but Myron pulls it off like 9 times out of 10. Really good. Myron, not Ryan. I'm not sure what I just said. Zachary Wentz comes off a ladder through another ladder that Jacy Navarro was on. Jacy Navarro shoves both Rascalz and Nemeths off of a ladder and then hits all of them with chairs. AJ Francis with a nice moonsault off the ladder takes out the Rascalz and the Nemeths. Shout out AJ Francis, by the way. Underrated in the grand scheme of things, in my opinion. Best choke slam in all of wrestling, and I'll stand on that. And
incredibly underrated. I do agree. The guy is nonstop hardworking, will do anything for you and the business, and doesn't expect a thing other than just you being yourself.
Dude,
don't be a dick. Just don't be a dick.
And I unironically, I loved the first season of like that Hidden Treasure show or whatever that he hosted on A&E, like before he was even really wrestling. Like I even liked him on that show. Anyways, really nice moonsault off the ladder by Francis onto the Rascalz and the Nemeths. The Hardys shove First Class off a ladder through 2 ladders that are on the outside, and that's where AJ Francis is coming down and just crotches himself on the landing on like one of the ladder rungs. But even scarier, I was looking at his legs, because I was really afraid that not only with like the way you would land and that you could fold your leg under a ladder, just even just the weight of coming down on your legs can be sketchy. Like we've seen like Bronson Reed and guys like Ed or Adam Copeland, like we've seen them just take, far falls that were pretty, but they got really injured by just landing on their feet, just because of the drop. So it's like, and AJ is not a small dude. So it's like gravity is very much working against you. He's crotching himself through a ladder, landing feet first on the outside. And that drop is like a solid, like 15-foot drop at least. I mean, maybe longer. So I
can't wait to ask him in an interview setting, what did you plan on doing? What did you think was going to happen?
I think he froze. I honestly think he froze. Like, because I don't think he would have on purpose went feet first. I mean, I guess on one hand you're trying to break your fall, but I don't think you definitely wouldn't purposely. I'm not even talking about like the DMB, like just even just like landing and getting mangled with the ladder feet first is sketchy. You would just think that he'd want to land maybe like back first onto the ladder and have it just kind of break his fall on the way down. But I'm obviously I'm not a professional. I'm not in his head. That might have totally been what he was going for. It just felt like he was going and he wanted to make sure that he made it. And then it was just like, what's he going to do at that point? He's already going down like this and the ladder's there. So I'm just happy. Like, there hasn't been anything reported about him like being hurt or anything, has there?
He says he's fine.
He was just joking about the DMB. Okay.
Yeah, because someone asked. I think it was our friend Lovely who was just like, "Is he okay?" And he's like, I got a big what, and I'm fine." Okay, he I feel like he meant to land maybe along not on the rung, but on the sides. And he just miscalculated. I thought, what? You guys were thinking about his legs. I was thinking about his arms. I thought he got his hands out and that he missed and like went into the hole and kind of maybe snapped his arm. Luckily not the case. Very clearly not. But I was freaked out because he took that move and I was like, oh. Meanwhile, Casey Navarro, Cresta, who was at the show, said that AJ carried him out. My hope is that was just a sell job and he was just selling his knee. He was recently cleared because he had tweaked it. The hope is that Casey's okay, but I guess we'll find out in the coming days as to whether or not Casey Navarro is still okay. Again, another guy to watch. He has been flourishing working with AJ Francis. I think this has been a perfect role for Casey Navarro. A wonderful dude and a wonderful wrestler. Deserves his flowers. The week he was supposed to be on NXT and couldn't work because he was injured broke my heart because he was getting that spot that he so rightfully deserved, and for him to have been going down with injury at that point, that sucked. So we'll find out soon enough what it looks like for Casey and if he's okay.
Yeah, so hopefully he's. I mean, that would be really. I think because I didn't even notice that. That'd be wild if like nobody really caught him getting hurt because everyone's distracted, like thinking that AJ might have been hurt, like off to the side, like Casey. But I'm with you. I obviously I hope he isn't hurt, and he is very talented. So. I like the pairing with him and AJ Francis. It's worked really well. After that spot, we had Jeff hit a swanton onto both Rascalz onto ladders, but he does it twice because he's trying to break through the ladders. But the ladders don't break, but it's still nice seeing Jeff Hardy hitting swantons off the top rope, like into ladders on the outside. I appreciate what he was going for, and he tried to give the fans what they wanted by trying to break those ladders. So he went for it twice. Then Jeff grabs a remote control, and an escape ladder descends from like the rig above the ring. And so now we have something we've never seen before. And the concept behind this is, well, all the ladders are broken. So like, how are these guys going to get this title? Well, Jeff Hardy's got a plan. So we have this escape ladder, and the Hardys and the Nemeths are kind of fighting back and forth, trying to climb it and stuff. The Hardys then eventually hit double twist of fates to the Nemeths, but they do it like the WrestleMania match between Matt and Jeff, when Matt hit the twist of fate onto Jeff when his head was stuck through the chair. They did that, both Hardys to both Nemeths at the same time. And then Matt holds the escape ladder to stabilize it. Jeff climbs up it and grabs the championships. So the Hardys are once again the TNA World Tag Team Champions. Do you have further thoughts on that? And I know obviously there was a big thing after that we're going to be talking about.
They got a little cute. They broke all the ladders, like you said. And then Jeff had to use a helicopter ladder. Thought we got a little too cutesy. I thought when they did the Bound for Glory match and everything was reimagined with the painted tables and ladders and chairs, I thought that was fine. But having to me, it breaks my what's the word? My suspension of disbelief is broken when you have to, like, who set up that ladder? When did it get set up? Why did you have it? And why did you only have access to it? What happens if you didn't have it? What happens? It was just, there were
what stops this from happening every ladder match?
Yeah. Like where did this come from? So that annoyed me to a point. I thought it was just a little too cutesy. It's too cute by half, as they say. But it's the Hardys. And this whole story, the Nemeths won initially because they wanted to get to this match. 1, 2, they were coming to Canada and they weren't going to have Jeff available at the time, so they needed the next best draw to bring people to the shows, so they put it on the Nemeths. Again, think about this as a business. The Hardys and Hendry have been the number 1 top line money getter for TNA, and then it goes down to the Nemeths and to a certain degree Mike Santana, and then there are other people here and there that pepper in and make the money. Because they didn't have Jeff in Canada for the Brampton shows, they decided to do the quick swap. And then they teased the ladder match after that. And instead of being able to deliver on the ladder match, they joked, oh, Jeff can't do it because it's in Canada and he can't make it. So you knew they were going to pay it off with the ladder match. And then in my brain, as I said multiple times on our post show, you're going to do it at Slammiversary. You have a giant ass arena to fill up. You're going to make a car crash match. Well, that's what they did. And they made it a 4-way. So instead, this story was all in service of the Hardys getting back their titles, especially to the point where the Hardys this past Thursday were saying, oh, maybe we don't have it anymore if we lose tonight. Well, guess what? They still got it. And unfortunately, they're going to have to show it off again because at the end of this match, Bully Ray comes out. The Team 3D theme song hits. And I'm like, they're not both here. I know Bully's here because the entire Busted Open crew is hanging out. And he talks about the success of the Hardys and the Dudleys and how back at the Alamo Dome in 2013, they had the biggest match, and Bully wants a Bound for Glory this year. He wants Team 3D versus the Hardys. How do I start this? Devon Dudley. If you watched him, the last match he had, he didn't really have the match. He was just kind of there. He has mentioned since that he's got one more in him, and to which I said, why? No, you don't. You have had long-term health issues. You have not been cleared to wrestle in however long. Why do we need to do this in 2025? There is no reason for this. I'm not going to go on a Bubba Dudley, Bully Ray bullshit tirade at this hour because I'm tired. But I will say there is no use for this in 2025. And if you think that this level of nostalgia is going to fill the house, one side is going to fill the house, and that's the side that just climbed up a bunch of ladders and went through them and did a bunch of crazy shit for the last 20 minutes. It's not about Bully. It's not about Devon. Nobody cares at this point. In 2025, Bully did his best work recently, not his best, but he did really good work with Josh Alexander in 2023. I thought he did really strong work working with Josh. They don't need to run this back as a tag team. There's no reason to do this. And if you think that this is going to fill your house in Lowell, then I don't know what you think this is about. People are saying it doesn't have to include the titles. I don't care. It doesn't have to include the Team 3D. It does not need to exist. But here we are.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they put that match together because Devon, I mean, I'm not expecting it to be very, very good unless, well, it might be better if they add a stipulation, like, which I could see them doing. But like, the problem is, I think TNA thinks that they can put that match together and it's going to be enough for like, the Hardys are going to have to go out there and like bump around mostly for the Dudleys probably throughout the match. And and they're going to be really banking on like those couple moments where like the Devon get the tables. Like that's what Devon's going to really be there for, is like if he's good to jump off the top for this thing, you know, the headbutt or whatever to the nuts. Like if he's good to hit that spot, and he's good to grab a table, and he's good to lift somebody for a 3D. That's like the three things they're going to need Devon to do. Outside of that, they'll probably have Bully Ray beating down the Hardys, and like hopefully they can make something of the match. But like I have obviously really low expectations for that. The Hardys I think can still perform. Like they're still like limited to a degree. Like I think there's a reason we don't see Jeff Hardy the last couple times he's been out there. He hasn't done like a humongous swanton off of something like ridiculously high. Like he's still doing swantons like off the ropes through he's still doing stuff, but he isn't doing like the 20-foot ladder, you know, spot at the moment.
No, he's just putting himself through two bodies at a time twice in one match.
Yes, but at least that was from like a shorter distance. But like he is, but he's willing to do it multiple times if he has to. But yeah, I don't think I'm with you, because it's like I understand where TNA thinks that they're doing by booking this. Like they think that the nostalgia is going to be enough, and they think that people are going to hear about this and be like, oh, Dudley's versus Hardys, I want to see that. Similar to what I just said a minute ago about like, oh, the Hardy Boys are here. That's awesome. But like, I just can't imagine there being that big of a draw for the idea of the Hardys versus the Dudleys in 2025 and it actually being good. But like, I mean, for their sake, I hope that it is. Like, you know, I don't want it to fail. But I just feel like it could potentially be disastrous if like that doesn't work out well. And then like the Santana thing at the end of the show maybe doesn't go as big as you planned it. Like this is like, they're putting a lot of eggs now. I mean, they were going to anyway because it's Bound for Glory. But like, there's a lot of eggs in this basket. And like, if this doesn't work out how they want it to, like, it could be really, really bad because like of the decisions they made tonight. Like they could have not set this up. They could have had Santana win at the end of the show. You could be looking totally different heading into Bound for Glory, and I think it'd probably be better. But now you're going to have to book yourself into this situation where now you got to figure out a way to make the Hardys and the Dudleys entertaining in 2025 and figure out a way to make Santana's win bigger than it would have been tonight, not in front of his own home crowd. So it's kind of like fighting an uphill battle you don't need to fight multiple times in one show already. So that's kind of what I'm, I guess, a little concerned about, I guess. But
you mentioned eggs in a basket. Our own Sean Ross Sapp did speak to AJ Francis, said, I asked how he was, and his response was, quote, big dick equals cushion.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Gigantic nutsack cushion the fall. On
that nutsack can still tear. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't matter how big something is. It can still hurt.
I don't know, man. You got those like Randy Marshes out there, like the that episode of South Park, just hopping around like a bouncy ball.
Oh, yeah. God damn.
Break your fall.
Yeah. Anyway, this is something. And someone in the chat was just like, yeah, there are people who want this, and you know what? You're absolutely right. There are people who want this nostalgia. I get it. I've mentioned this a billion times. When I was at WrestleMania week in Vegas, I went to WrestleCon. And I saw, I swear to God, somebody walking around with a wagon. And in that wagon were a bunch of replica titles. I'm not talking about the toy ones. I'm not talking about the plastic ones. This was a guy who spent much money, a lot of money on these replica titles. And you know what that person was doing? They were wheeling it to different tables for wrestlers that they had to pay for an autograph and getting the title belts autographed based on the wrestler who held them. That guy spent a lot of money for the nostalgia that he grew up with, and it makes him feel like this is something he can cherish and this is something he can hold on to. There are absolutely 100% people who will pay for that experience and cherish it and give into it.
Good for that guy. That's awesome.
Good for that guy, 100%. I am not one of them. This is not. I am more of the mindset of why is Devon Dudley, who has not been in a ring in a full-time capacity in, God, it's got to have been 10 to 15 years. Why now? If you're not doing it now and you've had health, why are we doing this now? If this is a way that they're thinking that they're going to get Devon's kids to get involved, that could be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't really see that. We have been going for an hour and 50 minutes. I don't want to go much longer. So I'm going to do you want yeah, exactly. So let's Crest is going to join us on Thursday. And Crest is on Thursday. What do you want to do? You want to get in on this, Cresta? We got like 5 minutes to give your thoughts, and then you can long form it later.
I don't have a voice. You got 5 minutes. You got 5 minutes.
Sorry, I wanted to put it out there. She is here. Hi, how you feeling? Other than not able to talk.
I stand in solidarity with Joel Pearl if he wants to quit this chicken shit podcast.
Well, there we go.
I stand in solidarity. It was one thing for Trick to lose. I low-key expected that. But Masha losing too in the flesh, you told me when we first started this, the both of you, that I'm going to have a LOL TNA moment.
You saw it. By the way, worth noting, Santino will be in Houston for NXT on Tuesday. So you will absolutely see Santino Marella try to be super serious talking about TNA, which I'm sure everyone will fall for and be big fans of, right?
How was it watching guys on TV? Because live, it was really like the crowd was super into it. They were super into it. How was it like on TV?
Crowd was great.
Yeah, it came across great on TV. Like the crowd seemed like the crowd was into the show the entire time. You could tell though, like especially Santana losing, like that everyone was like, "Wait, what?" But like everyone felt that way from everywhere. But I'm glad that you were able to go. Like, I mean, it was the biggest crowd TNA's ever done live. So I mean, it really came off like a big time event. So
it was so loud in there when AJ Styles music hit. Everyone's just like, I am. It was really good. The energy was great. I have to say, seeing it live, the wrestling was fantastic. Not Mike Santana, AJ's, not Styles, Francis going in between those two ladder rungs. Man, I heard the thing about the balls, but it did not look that way. It looked like an explosion.
His words was, quote, big dick equals cushion. What he told our own Sean Ross Sapp.
It did not look that way from where I look like explosion.
I'm sure someone will take care of him.
But now, if someone hypothetically did break their dick, would they admit to it?
I mean, sympathy.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's probably nothing more sympathetic than that, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just glad he's okay. I feel like there's like so many things that could have gone wrong in that fall.
Yeah,
his sack was actually the thing that was last on my mind. I was like,
yeah,
is his leg broken? Is his arm broken? Is his wrist broken? Like,
no, but meanwhile, everyone's like, how's his dick?
Yeah.
LOL, just my dick. Sorry.
Yeah. Ouch.
Okay. This is the most important question, Cresta, because you were there. What was the reaction from the crowd when Santana lost? What was the reaction leaving the building? How were people feeling? Because you saw it. You were there.
I will speak for myself. When Trick Williams ran in and he pinned Santana, I grabbed my purse and I walked out.
Really?
There was a bunch of people who were doing the same. I just walked out because I was angry at that point. Again, I could take it if it was one person, but that and Masha, that was just too much. It was just too much. A lot of people were angry. A lot of people like Santana has to win tonight. I was sitting behind Muscle Malcolm, and I think the other people with him just said, "What?" When Santana lost. I mean, when Joe Hendry got pinned. They were just like, what?
You had one person there who's already upset on a weekly basis, and she's a big Ring of Honor fan, but nobody watches Ring of Honor to begin with, so it's okay.
I mean, I saw in the chat someone's like, convince Joel to stay. I gotta be honest with you, I don't even know if I want to stay because
I'm gonna work Fridays now. Cardona left. I'm just gonna take his spot on Friday nights.
I feel like at this point I should just join Sour Grabs if I want to see TNA stuff. Just come on Tuesday.
Come on Tuesdays. Come Tuesday. So Lucky Charm sent a super chat saying, seems like it's all leading up to them getting both belts back at Bound for Glory because they keep mentioning that on commentary, but I still don't like it. I don't like it either. I can absolutely see it because, again, Bound for Glory is their actual big show of the year. It's not Slammiversary. It's Bound for Glory, as I said earlier. But that being said, you've got your guy from the hometown being played to the ring by a dude that by all intents and purposes is hyping up the crowd. Everybody's into it. The flags are out. The Puerto Rican pride is everywhere. And you think that you're playing for heat? You think you're playing for 70s nostalgia wrestling? Dreamer, what are we doing? This is not the space. This was not the space.
There's just not going to be a better setting for him to it's not going to get better. Like it was just it was all built around him winning this match. Like if this was anywhere else, I'd still be upset about it because I'd be like, Santana still isn't the champion, similar to Joe Hendry, like we talked about earlier, just taking too long to just pull the trigger and just do what the people want and what the wrestler deserves and get that title to him. Now, like I said, even if it was anywhere else, I would have been upset. But the fact that like this was his home, this was the hometown advantage. This was like his people, like they were ready for this win. They were there to see him win.
They were playing his dead dad's voicemail on the videos.
That is diabolical.
Thinking that this was great baby face shine, pal. And this is how they think that. And it's funny because they're going to watch shows like these. They're going to hear people say, I don't like this. And they're going to sit there and be like, we're taking them on a ride. It's a big story, pal, blah, blah, blah. I get that it's a story. I understand that there's a story to this. I understand it's wrestling. Don't tell me you're working me. I get it. But the point is you had the layup and you could have done the one thing that would have been in fan service and you didn't do it. You didn't do the one single thing. Forget Jacy losing or forget Jacy winning. Forget everything else. You could have had Mike Santana do this instead of build it up the way you did. And you turned off more people than you thought you were going to keep in with the story. Because you did it before with Joe and it all fell off at one point. When he finally won, people were like, finally. People who watch Family Guy, the one thing that I always go back to, it's the Maude opening. It's when Peter Griffin's watching Maude, and then there's Maude, and it's just over and over again. And then Peter's getting upset, and he's like, and then there's Maude, and then there's Maude. And they get to the chorus, and then there's Maude, and he's like, that was a whole ordeal, and he walks out of the room. That's what Joe Hendry was. And that's what we're looking at with Mike Santana.
And I don't know if I want to do that again, and that's not fair, honestly.
And that's the thing. That's the problem. We don't want to sit through it again a literal year later. There's no room for that.
Yeah. And a lot of people in the chat, we talked about it earlier. We went over the main event at the top of the show for anyone who's joining us later or now, like that, wants like more in-depth thoughts on like the main event itself. We open with our thoughts on that, but like a lot of people throughout the night have been comparing it to Cody. Like he lost at WrestleMania 39. It was even bigger when he won at WrestleMania 40. There are parallels to that story. There are some similarities, but as I've said, the Cody thing was very, very once in a lifetime, how everything lined up and they switched plans and the things worked out the way that they did. But imagine if Cody lost the first time in Atlanta. Like if the show was built for Cody in Atlanta in his hometown, no matter where he would have won it the next year, it probably wouldn't have been as good. Like, and that's kind of my point with like Santana is like this, like, I just don't know why you would wait for Bound for Glory. Like also, once again, let's say he wins tonight, which makes the most sense. Hometown, people are ready for it. He wins the title. Okay, then he's your champion going into your biggest show of the year, and he's got all this momentum. Like how is that a worse scenario than him winning that part?
You know what you could have done? You could have also gone into the Impact Live show on Thursday, done a rematch for the TNA title, have Trick win it back. It doesn't matter at that point. You give him the moment on Sunday. Sure, you can take it away on Thursday and say it's great heat. I don't care, but like you set it up in such a way. Maybe Thursday is not the time. Maybe it's NXT Heat Wave and there's a schmaz finish, whatever. You could have done it just to get that moment and say we packed 7,100 people and they're 7,600 and they're all cheering and chanting and so excited for the hometown boy to win. And instead you deflated the crowd. And now it's hard to think about, AJ Styles comes out and has like a great moment. It's hard to think about AJ Styles when you did what you did in the main event. It almost kind of deflates everything as a result.
There's a saying that says it all depends on how you leave him. And this was, you already got punched in the gut once tonight. This was just a really sour note because it's like you said, this was tailor-made for him. And it's okay to have someone win in their hometown. Like I want to see the long-term vision, but I've done this before. So I know what's about to have happen. And I don't want to do this again. And what's going to happen? The same thing that happened with Hendry. He's going to go to the Fed because why would I stay here?
Well, I've been talking that one for a while. He's got senioritis, Joe Hendry.
And I hope that's not what happens to like some of the fan base. Like that's what I would honestly be the most concerned about if I was TNA would be like if there were people that were like super invested in this is like not not maybe just strictly TNA fans, but they follow TNA closely, and maybe they're like, I'm just gonna watch NXT. Like all the champions are on NXT.
Yeah.
Like, why am I like? What's the point of supporting TNA? Like, they've just proved to me that they're kind of inferior because like TNA or NXT just wins all the TNA titles. Masha was the champion for almost a year. Took her forever to beat Jordan Grace for that title, who held the title forever and built all that prestige on it. Now it's in NXT. Trick Williams didn't do anything really in the main event. Wound up winning the main event tonight instead of Santana. He's the champ. Like, I just hope that there aren't TNA fans that are like, it's not really worth turning into TNA. I'll just watch NXT.
And this
That's
is
how I feel.
And there's another thing, someone in the chat being like, they must be planning something. TNA fans have been dealt worse. It's brand exposure. No, but it's diminishing returns because you cannot keep doing this to the fans who, since day one, have supported this company through thick and thin. Some people have dropped off. Some people have come back. TNA is that weird company, man. And I've talked to people in TNA who have left TNA, who have been part of TNA in and out. And there's always this agreement that like they can never win. There's nothing they can do that they can ever win. And that's understandable in certain cases. But like they've been through so much rebranding, dealing with financial hardships, dealing with ownership changes, dealing with talent moving, coming out, saying things, whatever. They've dealt with so much that a little fan service goes a long way when you're dealing with such a high altitude decline, because they continue to do this to people where you can give them the fan service moment of the year, or at least one of them, and you decide not to. This was a moment that they could have knocked it out of the park. This is, we just saw it all in Texas. Everyone was saying, if you don't do it with Hangman, then you're going to screw up your business. And I think to a certain degree, they were right about that. If they didn't do it to Hangman and have him win, it could have been really bad for AEW, but they did the right thing. They told the right story. They had the guy who was super over in Texas and was the hometown. Like he's the heart and soul of AEW. And now the heart and soul in TNA, who was dubbed the heart and soul of TNA by the guy that he beat for that role, who's also now working in AEW, but that's kind of not important. That guy just got lost tonight. The heart and soul got squished, and that part, it hurts. And how many fans are going to look at this and say, I'm coming back? And how many fans are going to look at this and be like, not this shit again?
Yeah. That's
so I hate to end this on a bad note, and I'm not going to, because Cresta, I want at least like I know the AJ Styles moment was really big for the crowd. What about, talk to me about Leon Slater getting his moment, because you and I have followed his journey through TNA. Talk to me about watching that match live with Moose, and then we can probably call it go home.
Great. That sounds good for me and my voice. No, that was such a feel-good moment. I was explaining to two people who don't watch TNA at all that this guy is Hardy Boy's spiritual son. It was such a good match with the chest chops. Leon kept up with Moose, and Moose speared the hell out of this man. One of the top 5 spears, almost a gore at this point. It was really, really, really good. And then to top it off, to have AJ Styles come out, and for a hot moment, I was like, don't challenge Leon Slater, please. Let me have 10 seconds with this to marinate, for him to really put him over and say that you are the future. You are someone who's next. Man, if I'm Leon Slater, you couldn't tell me nothing. I'm so genuinely happy for him. I want everything in the world best for him, and not for nothing for Steve Maclin. But him and Steve Maclin are carrying the 2 most important titles in TNA right now. The only titles that you got left in TNA at this point.
We're going to talk about that come Thursday. I'm sure about it. We're still going to be here on Thursday. There is a live show, and I don't want to leave people hanging on that. We'll be here to talk about it on Thursday. Let's get on out of here for once and for all. I'm going to start with Cresta because you just got here. Plug your stuff and we'll go.
Guys, I'm sorry I got here late, but I was at the show. Still support TNA Wrestling. The wrestling was fantastic. I won't lie. I'm just upset at the results. I'm going to sit on it and take a nap, and then we'll come back on Thursday. You can find me on all forms of social media at Cresta Star, except for Twitter, where it's Cresta the Star, like Megan Thee Stallion. I do wrestling stuff, but I'm going to take this week off because I'm sports disgusted. I'm sports malarkey, sports angry. But yeah, all for social media, Cresta Star. You are fantastic. Something. Steven Jensen, where can the people find you?
Good seeing you, Crest. I'm glad you were able to go to the show tonight. I always love doing these with you, so I'm glad you were able to pop in. But I'm glad you're able to be a part of the biggest crowd in TNA history. Very cool. And you got a good show for the most. I mean, some cruddy results, unfortunately, but you know, the actual show seemed like it was a lot of fun to be at. You can find me, everyone, on X at @FightTalk_. You can listen to the Fightful Select Weekender podcast. That's every Sunday or Monday, depending on the indie wrestling schedule. So tomorrow's episode, I didn't record today because I was here doing this, but tomorrow night, probably around the time that Raw is airing, when I get off work from the shoot job, y'all will get the Weekender tomorrow night, covering the world of indie wrestling. We had a GCW show with some big results. We had the Scenic City Invitational Tournament, 2 nights of that. Speaking of the SCI, there's going to be an interview airing on Thursday in spot of the Spotlight this Thursday. Me and Jeremy will not be live. Normally we're live on Fightful Overbooked, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time on Thursdays. But Jeremy has a commitment. We are going to have a pre-recorded interview that's going to air on Thursday for y'all this Thursday. It's going to be me and Jeremy with Jameson Shook, who just won the SCI tournament last night. So looking forward to catching up with Jameson, who's also one half of the IWTV Tag Team Champions. So that's everything going on with me. Oh, and also, I apologize. One more thing. Atlanta, Georgia. I will be live at the show this Friday, July 25th. I'll be at Center Stage in Atlanta, Georgia for 1FW. That's One Fall Wrestling. Going to be a big show. Me and Jeremy have been interviewing a lot of their talent, like the Frat House, QT Marshall, and Helica Risk. So going to be AEW talent in the house. MJF's going to be there doing meet and greets. Glacier is going to be in the house. So if y'all want to come say hey to me at 1FW at Center Stage, I will be there this Friday.
Folks, leave a thumbs up on the way out. Talk about this show. Tell your friends. Share it with everybody. And, of course, comment. Leave a comment. Did you like it? Did you not like it? The show, not like us. Did you like us? Are we your
Do you
favorites?
like us?
Do you like us? Are we your favorites? I know how you feel about TNA. Maybe you liked it. Maybe you didn't. I want to hear about that too. But drop a comment. Y'all know who I am. You know who these are. I'm going to be in the weeds Monday through Friday over on Fightful Overbooked. If I'm not there, SB3's there. Jeremy Lambert is always there. I'll be there in about 9.5 hours talking about wrestling. So I'm going to go get some sleep because my kid's going to be up shortly. So for Jensen, for Star, you know who I am. We'll see you in the next one. Ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, enjoy your evening, morning, who knows.